What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of the early Sunday off the chalk show here at Runpure Sports. Got my guys as always, AP and JT Hayes. Gonna dive into it because we got a lot to talk about. But before we do, want to remind you guys very quickly: hit the like button, hit the subscribe. It's free to do. Last week, our biggest week ever on this show, pushing well over 300. So we want to start the day off strong there. Get us up to 300 likes. That's where we're going to go with the goal for today. JT Hayes, I'm going to start with you because I missed you, man. I missed you on Thursday. You were at the Falcons game live. I know. How was your week? How was the game? And what's going on this fine Sunday morning?
Well, as you guys know, the game was great. Absolutely phenomenal, especially if you're a Falcons fan, 25-0. So really excited about whether or not that's going to put us in the top 10 as far as draft picks this season. That's where the Falcons are. But excited for week 11. Surprised kind of sneaks up on you the way the season rolls along, especially if, like us, you're just grinding content and lineups all week long. So really interesting slate, focused. It seems like it's one game and then everything else, everything I look at in the community, everything I look at and people I talk to, it's very interesting. And I think it's a very easy week to get off the chalk because of where a lot of the ownership is going to be concentrated.
Yeah, that's why we're here. Of course, I couldn't agree more. There's going to be a lot to talk about. We are going to start at running back for those just tuning in because there's a lot going on. But before we even get into the picks, got to bring in my guy, Mr. AP. I love the setup, man. It's looking good.
I mean, I've actually done nothing to it for quite some time. I've been lazy. I need to just everyone. I always see a comment in the chat, and I love it. Like, you know what? You just move in. You know, your shelves are empty. I've been lazy. You know, I'm always grinding content 7 days a week, looking out for the people, and I got to take some time, and I just got to get it done. I got the ideas all mapped out and everything. It's going to look good. It just comes down to getting it done. So we'll make that a priority here soon, just so that I can stop getting shit for it. But I'm pumped for the slate, guys. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. I think the Chiefs, baby, we're gonna, you know, that game should be, it should provide a ton of fireworks, and obviously we're gonna get to it and talk to it.
Yeah, like you said, that's going to be the focus for sure. Dallas, Kansas City game going to be extremely popular. Yeah, I love the shirt. I see it there. I'm with you on Mahomes this week. We'll talk about those guys here in a little bit, but just like last week, we're going to start with the running back position. A lot of chalk, a lot of cheap plays going on as the week went on. There's more and more options. There's some that I think people think are sneaky that might not be sneaky. Well, there's some that people think are chalk that might not be chalk, but we're going to start with the guys up top. And of course, that begins with AJ Dillon and JT Hayes. I'm going to flip it over to you. We got AJ Dillon, Jeff Wilson, and Mark Ingram. Call them the big three, but really they're the cheap three. People just saw this strategy work last week. If you went with the three guys there last week, and including Ramondre Stevenson at the last minute that people could plug in, you could have the three cheap running backs, and that's sort of what shipped over on DraftKings in those large field tournaments. So what are your thoughts on the same strategy this week, and what do you like about these three guys or dislike about these three guys at the top?
Yeah, it's hard for me to go back to Ingram. We saw that he got there. He got there by a late touchdown last week. The Eagles' defense has been poor against the run. The Saints' offense doesn't have a lot of weapons, so you can certainly see them using him here again. The price did go up a bit, 5.4, and you take away that touchdown, and his line last week was very pedestrian. Would have been around 13 and a half points, and that's not enough. And I think running back is deep. You've mentioned it here. Jeff Wilson of those three is probably the guy that's most interesting. He's also the guy that's scariest because of the team that he plays for, but they really don't have anybody else. I can't see them turning around and giving snaps or giving the workload to Trey Sermon. People are talking about Deebo Samuel getting some touches out of the backfield. Jacksonville defense really, really bad. So if we get news, you know, that Jeff Wilson is definitely the starting back, I think it's a risk because he hasn't played in so long. And if you're telling me that he's going to be somewhere in the 30 or 40% range, then I think it's easy to get off of that. In terms of Dillon, yeah, at least on DraftKings did a good job at pricing him up at 6.2. So it's not like he's just okay, I'm just going to plug him in. It's not like the week when Alexander Madison was like 4.7 or 5K in a great matchup. Yeah, it's a good matchup, but you've also got a pretty talented passing offense there. So I can see where you can play Dillon here, but it's not just, oh, I'm going to plug him in because he's the backup and he's down in the 4s.
Yeah, and Jeff Wilson actually has a pretty good rush prop right now. Like you said, it's always scary. There's always other guys that we're going to get to Debo and the wide receiver core later on. But AP, I'll flip it over to you. Same question. A.J. Dillon at the top. I think J.T. Hayes makes a good point. The price increase to 6,200 is definitely fair, and it makes it a little bit more of something to think about. But he's still going to come in, well, I'd say well over 30 to 40, in that 30 to 40% range. And then, of course, you've got Wilson, Ingram, and then we'll get to the guys behind that. What are you doing here at this running back position?
Yeah, I mean, A.J. Dillon was my top-ranked running back when you factor in price, production, opportunities, all that on the week coming in. And Jeff Wilson just this morning made the change, after we got that news. But yeah, A.J. Dillon, I mean, Rodgers, I think limited, if not practice. I don't think he got much practice in all week. And so I don't think that changes much, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do try to establish it a little bit, and A.J. Dillon's going to get all the work there. So, I just think he's a phenomenal play. Should be a good game environment, obviously, in a dome there in Minnesota. One other guy, just cheap guy. I mean, actually, there's quite a few, but Deonta Foreman. I mean, I keep looking at this Tennessee game, 2018 total. He looked way better than Adrian Peterson. And you have to figure that they're just going to lean on the run, get a quick win here. Hopefully they should be able to take care of the Texans. And I wouldn't be surprised if he had a nice day too. Another cheap running back that allows you to stack up this game that we all want to stack up. Now, I do have to bring this up because I'm getting a little worried. I mean, we got some nice running backs on the slate that I think are going to be a little bit under ownership-wise what they should be. Christian McCaffrey obviously projects to be one of the chalkier running backs on the slate. However, when you give these cheaper guys a bump, and they rightfully deserve the bump, and when you have, the projections where they are, we have good receivers on the slate, et cetera. I kept bumping up Christian McCaffrey, and he just wasn't hitting a lot of my builds. You got to bump him up quite a bit for him to hit. So I do think he's going to maybe end up a little bit lower owned. Now, I could definitely be wrong on that take. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's a phenomenal play, but I find myself jamming these A.J. Dillon, Jeff Wilson, Mark Ingram, Deonta Foreman, these type of cheaper running backs because it frees up the world to get, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, all these really elite receivers. So I really would want your guys' take on that and what you guys are doing with the top end range of the running backs here.
Yeah, I'm going to give you mine here in a second. Guys, hit the like button. There's almost 200 people filed in. If we get to 100, it'd be our fastest 100. We got 7 minutes to get to our fastest 100 likes ever on this show on Sundays. It's free, easy to click the button, hit that like button. For me, back to your thoughts there, AP. I think it's Ingram falls third of those three. A.J. Dillon, look, we said it last week. I'm happy the price is there to maybe hold him down some. To J.T. Hayes' point, it's not going to hold him down enough. But when you just don't have much else behind it, and you're going to get the opportunity, and the guy is skilled, we've seen enough from him, I'm going to be happy to still be in on him. Same with Wilson. I know it's a little bit more scary. There's ways you can go about it at other positions. Like I mentioned before, the wide receiver position has Debo and Ayuk there. I'll talk at quarterback even a little bit about Jimmy G. And then, of course, Kittle at tight end. So there's definitely ways that you can leverage off Wilson, but I'm not saying you have to go all in. The guy I struggle with most is Ingram. JT Hayes hinted at it a little bit earlier. He did get a lot of good, had to have a lot of things go his way to have a good output last week. And now there's issues with the O-line. There's all these factors that you have to worry just a little bit about it. But I do think the cheaper running backs can be the way to go and help you out. Maybe it's 2 cheap running backs and 1 pay up. But the benefit of this week is that, if you've got, like last week, you use the example, go back to, who was it? Najee Harris puts up 20. That's not going to cut it at those prices. So have some CMC in your arsenal, because if he puts up one of those 40 or 50 point games, I think there's only a few guys like that on the slate. There's CMC, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. They're sort of your big 3 guys, in my opinion, that can just break the slate completely at a position. And I think this week you can easily fit 2 of them. So keep that in mind when you're building. JT Hayes, flipping it over to you. And guys, in the chat, when you're hitting that like button, just punch in some other running backs that you want us to talk about. We're going to spend a little bit more time on this position today. JT Hayes, give me some of the other guys at running back off the chalk, or ways that you can utilize them within your lineups that you think you're going to this week.
Yeah, we just spent a couple of minutes talking about A.J. Dillon, and there's a guy in the late games in the exact same spot against a much inferior defense. I'm talking about James Conner and the Arizona Cardinals, and Seattle just been gashed against the run. They've given up the most fantasy points of any team on the slate to opposing running backs on the season, second most in the last 6 weeks. And all reports so far this morning are it's likely Kyler Murray is going to sit again. Hopkins has already been ruled out, and Conner gets a lot of his work through the air. And there's going to be a lot of short passes in this game, and you can run all over the Seattle defense. This is what the Cardinals are going to want to do today, is slow that game down and control the clock. So James Conner is actually points per dollar my favorite running back here on the slate. We were talking a little bit before we came on with the running backs in the Las Vegas-Cincinnati game, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs. Jacobs been limited all season, was limited in practice this week. Really hard for me to click his name this week, so he's a great contrarian tournament play. Mixon, the interesting thing with Mixon is he is priced up, but he's done a lot of his damage as well through the air. So I actually like Joe Burrow. We were talking, you guys will get to that. I don't think either of you guys are on him, but I think Mixon as another passer in that game, and then Vegas, another team that you can beat on the ground. So I think those guys are guys that I'm going to have interest in as well. And then last guy I'll mention, everyone's talking about Dak and the passing attack. And even when I wrote up that game, I focused on the passing attack, but you've got Zeke, you've got Tony Pollard. I think the concern that some people at least should have with Dallas is they've shown a tendency to mix in guys, right? So if they get ahead, if they get a lead, or however the game script that McCarthy's going to run, you've got guys in terms of receivers like Noah Brown that he's put in there. You've got this Malik Taylor who came out of nowhere, who's played mostly in blowout script, but you do have Pollard. So Zeke at 7-7 is a scary tournament play, but I think he's got to be in the mix there, depending on what you think the game plan is going to be for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and that game in general, just a way to get different, right? You talk about the Dallas-Kansas City game, which when we get to quarterback, we're going to spend a lot of time on. And guys, just about at that 100 likes now. Got over 200 watching, need about 10 more. We got 2 minutes left to break that barrier, get to the quick 100, and then we'll go for 2. But just talking through some other guys you mentioned, I talked about this pre-show a little, so I'll bring it up here just for everybody. But, you know, it'll be a good segue when we get to it. AP, I'm going to come back to you in a second for the more expensive running backs, just to talk about some of those guys. But this game with Cincinnati and the Las Vegas Raiders, it feels like, and I forget the exact game, but it was just a couple weeks back. Oh, this is the sneaky game of the week. Nobody's going to be on it. It's still got the high total, and then everybody's on it, or there's pieces laced throughout it that people are on. I think the Mixon and even the Jacobs side, you can get different in that game by having some of the running backs. It's definitely 2 good matchups there. They can give it up on the ground, and then you can even use them together, or just use your secondary stack where you've got like a Mixon and a Renfro, or a Mixon and a Waller, whatever you want to do over on that side. So I definitely think that makes sense. And then I forget who, James Connors. This guy is in the same matchup that we just, speaking of AJ Dillon, I talked about this on the Thursday show, JT, but AJ Dillon just ripped this team up, and everyone's playing AJ Dillon when you can play the guy at the same price that basically, or pretty much the same price, that's got the same matchup and could do the same thing right here, right now. And he gets in the box. He gets those touchdowns for them too. So I like the James Conner call, but AP, you can talk about whatever after this. I guess I just want to ask you first, so about these expensive guys, because people in the chat want to know. Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, you already talked about CMC. JT mentioned Zeke. What are you doing with these expensive guys, if at all? And if you're not, what if you had 150 lineups? What would you be doing with these guys?
Yeah, I mean, they're really interesting, especially, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Dalvin Cook is going to be sub 10%. Nick Chubb, another one, sub 10%. Nick Chubb's going against the Lions. We see what teams are doing against the Lions. So it does have me questioning some of these, just like getting extremely overweight on the Jeff Wilson, the AJ Dillon, James Conner of the world. I mean, there's just so many good running back plays this week. I think one thing that you should do if you have the time this morning, play around with the optimizer, over project guys like Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, and just see how the lineups look. I think what's going to happen, it's going to take you off of, or limit you to one of Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, some of these higher priced, very elite wide receivers out on the slate. Could be a really interesting route to get a little bit different. And this is going to be a slate where it doesn't take much to get different also. Like a little move like that, like bumping up some of these expensive running backs, maybe trying to get exposure in a different way to this Cowboys game, you know, maybe looking at just at Gallup or Pringle, one of these cheap options, and you know, you're going to be different spending up. So that's something I'm going to look at. I don't have a strong take. They're all really good plays. It's going to come down to roster construction and what you feel comfortable doing.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that was the point I was about to make next. I think you kind of nailed it there. It's like if you pay up to these running backs, yes, you're unique, but then I think a lot of people, I'm just talking actually specifically to the Dallas Kansas City game, because that's going to be a great segue when we get to the quarterback position with Dak and Mahomes there. But I just think it's going to be sort of the same builds, right? If everyone's putting Gallup in and that's what fits the McCaffreys and that, you really don't have that much of a unique build. And we talk about this all the time on the Monday Review Show over at Runpure Sports. It's about like, you know, you've got this unique setup, you think, but you're going to have a unique lineup likely, but you don't really have a unique setup in the sense that now you're all these 2v2s or 3v3s away. It's going to be very hard to leverage up. So even though you may not be duped, you have a tougher time still to get to the top. You need everything to go perfect for yourself. And that always makes things a little bit tougher. Again, you guys want to get over to Runpure Sports, get in the Discord. I highly advise it. Use promo code RPSHeater25. Get yourself signed up. We're giving a lot of the thoughts here right now for free. We, of course, have the Morning Wood Show right after, Big T, Hoop, and Holden. But our Up to Lock show is key with JSU and Holden, JJ from the bet side. A lot of great stuff and opportunity over there. And then it's all sports for one price. So we're crushing an NBA last night, crushing in PGA still. It just wrapped up this week for a little bit. We've got all the other sports, MMA, tennis, college, you name it. So use promo code RPSHeater25. Get yourself over there. Get signed up. JT Hayes, last comments, I guess, at running back from yourself. And then just thoughts maybe on some roster construction, because last week, like I said, the 3 cheap running back worked really well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's a point there, right? We saw this. I forced in Najee Harris last week, and that wasn't the move. I couldn't see playing some of these these lower price running backs, particularly Ingram. And like I said, they look real good and look to be right on Ingram right until he got into the end zone. So the guy for me this week that I'm struggling with is D'Onta Foreman. I know that a lot of people are saying, well, McNichols is out. Henry is already out. He looked better. Holden actually brought him up on our Tuesday night pod. And I'm like, D'Onta Foreman, I don't know if I could do that. I'm sitting here Sunday. He's projecting well. He's projecting at an almost 4x rate of his salary. And the question is, do you really believe that they're going to make him the workhorse back today? He definitely has one of the best, if not the best, matchups defensively. But let's say that he doesn't get the workhorse run. Let's say he gets 12 carries and gets you 60 yards and a touchdown. I don't know if that's enough when you've got guys like Connor, when you've got guys like Dylan, when you've got a guy in Jeff Wilson, yeah, going to be highly owned. But look, San Francisco likes to run the ball. And if they run the ball 30 times, Jeff Wilson is going to be in optimals.
Yeah. And the other thing too, just back to roster construction, I'll finish out the thoughts. Some folks in the chat mentioning Myles Gaskin. I think, a guy that at the start of the week was probably more popular than he is now based on all the injuries. If, when we get to quarterback and bring up Tua and you don't want to play Tua, you could definitely go to a guy like Gaskin. It's always tough though with that, 1.5 yard per carry. It's pretty dusty if you go to Myles Gaskin. But last thoughts are just when we get to wide receiver later, if you want to play some of these guys at the top, you're going to have those cheaper running backs. And that's where I said, unless you get a CMC or a Chubb or someone, Dalvin Cook, that pumps out the 35, 40 plus score, it's probably likely with the workloads that these cheaper guys are getting. And I said it last week too, these guys are getting projected to go in 100% of your lineups. If you just run it with no rules, no setups, no exposure limits, they're wanting to put them in. Their props are extremely good in Vegas for what their rush yards are just off the top. And that gets you the bonus and they can fall in the end zone, guaranteed work. So try not to overthink it too much, getting unique within the total construction. And I think one of the biggest ways, imagine playing Gaskin, says Gary USC. This is probably a week that's true because he is pretty dusty, but we'll get through it. They even brought up Duke Johnson. He makes a good point. That tells you everything you need to know about Miami and Myles Gaskin. But AP, let's flip it over. Let's change gears. And guys, keep it going with the likes. You got 120 right quick. It was the fastest to 100. 10 more minutes would be the fastest to 200. I know that's a lot to ask, but if you're watching, we got over 300 in here. I think we can easily get to 200. Let's talk about quarterback though, AP, and your boy, your main guy is at the top. You got the t-shirt on. It's Mahomes week. Everyone's in on Mahomes this week, but it is still pretty dispersed at the ownership at quarterback. You got Mahomes and Dak, of course. You've got Tua as sort of a cheap option. And then you got Cam Newton. People brought him up all week at 5,100, the way you can go there. Of course, Rule did mention that he's going to start, but PJ Walker can get some snaps too. So what are you doing here with the chalk at the quarterback position this week?
Yeah, I mean, we all know I'm a KC homer, and I'm going to be very, very overweight on Mahomes. I thought they looked phenomenal last week. Here's the other thing, too. I do think so. I saw in Discord a few comments, people discussing the probability of the KC game busting, right? It's the NFL. Anything can happen. We've seen that all year. Like, the craziest things have happened. However, like, when you look at both of these defenses, like Spagnuolo, he's an aggressive guy, and they're down Amari Cooper. I see them blitzing Dallas like all night long. And then the other thing with the Cowboys, they're not like a prevent defense, two safety over the top, whatever you want to call it, type of defense. They're aggressive too. So I think there is a high probability that we see a lot of fireworks in this game tonight. I mean, unless you think like the Cowboys are going to just run the ball and try to eat up clock. I just don't see that being the script. I see them putting up a lot of points. I see the Chiefs putting up a lot of points. And we saw it last week too. So the Raiders are another defense that doesn't really play that two safety over the top. And we saw what Mahomes did to them. So I think it's a tough fade. I think you have to have some exposure to this game. The opportunity for points is just going to be too great. The way to get different, I think we already kind of hit on it. It's at the running back position. I think if you get that key, and the tight end position, which we'll get to. But just to kind of sum up the quarterback spot for me, it's really simple. It's Mahomes. I actually, JT Hayes, I have Joe Burrow as my second quarterback, and then Dak third. And you could, Dak, they're all really good. I just think if the KC game underwhelms relative to expectations, that Joe Burrow spot is really nice. The Raiders right now, obviously their defense is in flux, and Burrow and his receivers, Higgins, Chase, are the two that I would like to pair with. They're due for an explosion spot. Game is also in a dome, very good environment. So that's another way to get a little bit different. But still, in those Burrow stacks, I'm not fading the KC game. I'm going to have exposure to that game. It might just be Darrell Williams. It might just be Zeke. It might be maybe not the receivers, but I might just get exposure in different ways. So for me, it's real simple at quarterback. I'm going to have a ton of Mahomes, 75% at least. And then Joe Burrow, probably my second, maybe right around 15%.
Yeah, I'm going to give some quick thoughts, and then JT, I'll pass to you for the same game, because this is sort of the one that everyone's discussing. And not to take away from it, like the chat, Dallas D is good. No, they're not. Teddy Bridgewater just lit their ass up. So, 2 weeks ago, it's not something I'd be too afraid of. This could be a really big spot. Second of all, AP, I think you make a great point. It is no homer for you. Everyone's saying homer in the chat. I don't think that's true at all. I think this is totally different. Look, when we had that Chargers-Dallas game a few weeks back, it was insane. Everyone's, oh, this is the game of the week. There was literally 3 other 50-point totals that were 1 point shy of it in the afternoon slate alone. This is not the case. If this game fails, so be it. I'm not all in on this game, but I'm very heavy on Dak and on Mahomes this week because the spot is good and there is ways to get unique. We just talked about it, and there's some other guys you can play him with. You can play Cedric Wilson. You can play, Schultz, who we'll get to later at tight end. You can play those running backs. You can take a shot on Darrell Williams, who we didn't bring up at the running back position. There's lots of ways to go within the game to get unique that I think you can still play this game and have pretty good lineups. But I'm just saying, whenever, you see this slate in general, this is not the same as usual. This has a very high total, not many close behind it. And that's why I said earlier with the Burrow thing, I get the love. I know both you guys are on him. I'm usually high on Burrow. I just have a challenge with it. Seems like everyone thinks that's sort of the next sneakiest spot. And I think there's others. I'll give my other thoughts after, guys. Quickest 150 likes ever. So we appreciate that. Let's get to 200. And then in the chat, while you're putting the like button up, hitting subscribe, throw in some of the other quarterbacks you want to talk about. I already saw some Joe Flacco takes in there, which we'll bring up later. But JT Hayes, first off, give your thoughts on this Dallas-Kansas City game, everything I just talked about and AP talked about with it, and then give us some of your other thoughts at the quarterback position.
This game's been tough for me all week because you've got two teams who are coming off really, really easy matchups. Cowboys against the absolutely weaponless Falcons, and then the Chiefs against the Raiders, who really are very, very bad on defense. And so they're going to face a little bit stiffer competition. And then you look at the 3 weeks before for the Chiefs, not very exciting performances, and they weren't going against outstanding defenses. The Packers, I guess, the best one out of the bunch, but even the Giants held them down a bit in that Monday night game. So the other thing here is the pricing is, I think, appropriate. I think everyone in this game is priced at their appropriate level, and I think you guys are handling it right. If you like this game, you go all in on it because you need this game to shoot out at the prices that you're paying for Mahomes, for Prescott, for CeeDee Lamb, for Tyreek and Kelsey. And we've seen it work this year. The Browns game was, I think, the first game of the season. It looked at halftime like it wasn't going to get there, and then they did. So you bring up Darrell Williams, AP, and interested in this, once I'm done talking about quarterbacks here, the thought of what's going to happen to that backfield now. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is active. I'm sure you don't expect the same workload, but doesn't that, I think, muddy things up a little bit in terms of who they might use more and maybe take some of the upside away from a guy like Williams in the workload that he would normally see? But in terms of that spot for Joe Burrow, I don't think it's sneaky at all, but I'm looking at a game in a dome, whereas the game in Arrowhead is outside. Again, it's not going to be terrible weather in Kansas City, but it will be louder there. And with Burrow and the Bengals, they've done most of their damage through the air. Even Mixon's two last big games against the Jets and then against the Browns, most of that damage was through the air. He hasn't had 100 yards rushing since week 1. So, yeah, you could stack Mixon as part of those Cincy stacks. They're coming off a bye. They're coming off of 2 bad games. And the Bengals, with very talented playmakers, very talented at really all the skill positions, running back, wide receiver, and even tight end with CJ Uzoma, in the same spot as the Chiefs were in last Sunday night. And so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Bengals put up 40-plus points and points per dollar challenge those two offenses in a game that only has a total 6 points higher. So that's why I'm leaning on Burrow as my number 1 guy.
Yeah, I like all the thoughts you're making. It's all the ones I typically love. I don't know why. Like I said, just for me this week, it feels like there's other opportunities. And one of the other things I want to bring up quick, a lot of good stuff coming up in the chat, guys. There's some good guys I want to bring up. So we are going to spend some time here. Fastest 150 likes. We still got 2 minutes left to hit 200. But one thing I want to bring up, and AP, then I'll flip it back to you, is that you've got this situation where, like I mentioned, that the aforementioned Chargers versus Dallas week, those quarterbacks were way higher owned than what we're seeing on Mahomes and Dak this week. Yet this week, that's like the only game. And it's got a 56-point total. Everyone is spread out. They want to make Tua, Cam Newton, Derek Carr, Joe Burrow. There's a bunch of other guys people are trying to make work, but you just kind of have this game right there. So I don't even think you need to necessarily be all in. You can get 20 to 25% and still be double the field or more on these quarterbacks and have plenty of stacks as long as you're building them in your own way. Like you said, use the optimizer, make it a little bit different. I think that's definitely a way you can go about it. And then I've got some others, but I'll let you go ahead first. Who are some of the other guys you're liking here at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I mean, I just, gosh, like I do see people playing Tua, and here's what, like, I just could not get there at all. Like these quarterbacks, Mahomes, Dak, and Burrow, I'll keep it to those 3, have so much upside on this slate. I mean, you're going to get dusted if Mahomes or Dak puts up like a 33 piece, which they could easily do in this game environment. Another thing too is the weather here in the Midwest is phenomenal right now. Like yesterday was just perfect out. It's going to be 55 to 60 degrees. Very little wind, no weather at all in that KC game. So it's just going to be a perfect environment for these guys to go off. I mean, it's just, it's still going to be loud and stuff, especially when the Cowboys offense is running. But no, I can't, like, I don't want to take the risk with Cam. If we knew Cam was going to get all the snaps, I mean, maybe a different discussion. I still think the upside of Dak and Mahomes is so much greater than some of these other cheaper guys. So for me, I X'd them out. I am not going there this week. Total flag plant for me. And the other thing too, and this is a great way if you're multi-entering to just get significantly over the weight the field, which will also make you a little bit different. Everyone always likes to get a little piece of this, a little piece of that guy. And that's why ownership spreads out at the quarterback spot. So whoever your guy is, flag plant him, get overweight, and keep that quarterback pool very tight. I think if you do that, you're gonna put yourself ahead of the game and be successful this week.
Yeah, couldn't say that better. I talk about this all the time. You got to take your stands at quarterback. That's why it's okay when we have disagreements. We're all doing this for our own reasons. We're all going with our own guys, and that's what you want to do. You're putting your money behind it. You got to be behind something you feel good about. And here's the guys I feel good about and why I'm not as high on Burrow. The chat's mentioned a few of the guys that I'm looking at. One of them is an Aaron Rodgers bounce back spot. I think this is, everyone wanted to make it work last week. It didn't work. Now he goes up against Minnesota. And here's the thing about the quarterbacks I'm about to mention. They've got a quarterback on the other side that I think can at least maybe keep it a little bit competitive. So going up against Kirk Cousins, that's how you get your Dalvin Cook lineups in. That's how you get Adams stacked up, MBS. Use your guys to get off of the A.J. Dillon chalk, or stack them with A.J. Dillon if you want to go one extra. But it's better off, I think, to leverage up and go against. Use Adams, use MBS, run it back with a Jefferson or a Cook. Boom. If that game goes off, I don't think that's one that people are talking about that might be sneaky, that will bring more ownership. It's just a potential spot for me. The next one, Josh Allen. I certainly do not have Big T's take that Carson Wentz is an MVP candidate, but I think he might be good enough to keep that game in check. Or maybe it's Jonathan Taylor, where now you've got to have Josh Allen on the other side. So I like Josh Allen. And then the good one I'd liked in the chat, I think it was Del Sol. Let me go back here real quick. Del Sol 2003, shout out to you because he got it. He picked the one I've mentioned a few times. If you're going to talk to me about Wilson and you're going to talk to me about what we're going in a second to wide receiver with Debo, with Ayuk, and then we're going to get the tight end and we're going to bring up Kittle, who's back doing his thing, absolutely crushing it. Our girl Allie had him last week on the Monday Night Football call for an anytime touchdown. He handled that real quick. Unfortunate on the receiving yards, but still a great call and a great pick. So you talk about these things. How are you not going to talk about Jimmy G? It's Jacksonville. I know they're a bad squad themselves, but Trevor Lawrence could be a little bit of a back and forth. I'm taking the risk on these spots. I don't think they're necessarily as good, maybe, especially the Jimmy G spot, as the Burrow one you mentioned, JT, but I'm willing to take that risk because, again, with that said, the ownership comes down with it. And I'd rather go with Rodgers, Allen, Jimmy G, Dak, and Mahomes than trying to make all these cheap guys work. So I don't mind having some cheap shares of some guys like Tyrod or Tua or whatever if you want to go there, but I don't think you need very much of them, and it's not something that I'd be getting behind. So JT, round us out at the quarterback position, then we'll get to wide receiver. Anything else that you want to talk about here?
I mean, two things. One, Jimmy G, again, it's I think for me, I've had a hard time with these teams that are traveling to the East Coast. I think Herbert, his last game against the Eagles, the only one that's panned out. And when you have the spot where I do think that the Niners want to rush the ball, I think it lowers the ceiling for everybody around them. But that being said, the offense there does seem to have picked up. Really big game against the Rams last week. And then with Tua, and here's the thing with the running backs for Miami, there's just so many of them. You don't know who's going to get the work. I think it's almost a guarantee that one or two of those running backs get into the end zone against the Jets just because of how bad their defense is. But I can't predict who it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be Gaskin or Salvin Ahmed or Duke Johnson, who they've added to their roster, right? But I think you can play Tua, and I'll have some Tua with Mike Gesicki, who is a guy that I like as a play at tight end that I think because of the steam that Dalton Schultz is getting and the normal ownership that Kelsey is going to get, I think he might come in a little bit lower owned. And he's shown in games this season where he's got slate breaking upside.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing too, is who can you stack them with? We always talk about this, about the easy stacks. And that's why, again, when you make those Burrow points, and I keep going back to it, I'm not going to talk myself into it, I promise, but I'm just saying I get why, because we know who to stack them with. With Miami, if you wanted to go with Tua stacks and get off that, you can just easily go with Waddle, and Gesicki and call it a day. And you can do one between 1 and 2. You can do with 2 if you want to see him completely go off. But I don't think Tua needs both receivers in order to get there. And from a point per dollar perspective, it could happen. Get off of Gaskin. The O-line, causes him plenty of problems. Someone mentioned earlier, it probably is the O-line's worse than Gaskin being dusty. It's the truth. But we like to make fun of him for that reason. The other thing
you guys are going to put
Tyrod.
me asleep talking about Tua and Jimmy G. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
When everyone's playing the same guys,
you got to have other options. I think it's important just to look at what everybody else is saying in the chat. Like, I think, some of the stuff they brought up, Lamar, AP, I'll round out the thoughts. Let's go back to one more guy. We got to see what's going to happen here. Latest update on him was 50-50, but the chat was talking about Lamar, what you would do if he's out, if he's in. What are your thoughts on Lamar Jackson this week before we move on to wide receiver?
Yeah, like a guy like Lamar, I could definitely get behind. I'm kind of with, I get what you're saying with Jimmy G. Really fine matchup there. I got to side with JT Hayes on this one. And that's why I'm very high on Jeff Wilson. I definitely get it though. I get the play. I just think, man, this might not be the week to do that. I just think these higher priced guys are so much better. And I could definitely get with Lamar. I'm never going to ever talk anyone off of Lamar. This guy has, their defense hasn't looked as good. And we've seen a lot of game environments where Lamar has been having to put the team on his back in the second half. So Lamar is definitely a guy with 30 plus upside up there with Dak and Mahomes. And so the 201 is, aren't you like, all right, so serious question, Tambo, aren't you betting on just the matchup there, like how bad the Jets are, and just that Tua is going to have all the exposure to the touchdown upside there? Because that's the only way I could see playing him on a slate like this one.
No, like it's a different thought process altogether. Like literally, it's almost the same money as Dak and Gallup. It's pretty much and a shitty defense. It's the same money to play Tua, Waddle, and a better defense and have the exact same lineup, but just flip it. And all you need is Tua and Waddle to come through. Maybe even the defense helps. Just an example, but I'm just saying that's all you have to do to change a roster construction in a heartbeat. And it's definitely possible. They've got a good spot today. It's against the Jets. It would leverage Gaskin ownership. There's just so many reasons to do it. But again, back to my original point, it ties into what you just asked, is that these cheap guys, you don't need very much. Like I can have 60% Wilson and be in 100% agreement with you and still have 10% Jimmy be more than triple the field and just make sure in all those Jimmy lineups, I don't use Wilson and I do use 2 of Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle. And if that happens, then everyone says, oh man, my Wilson shares are getting crushed because Garoppolo is just going off and it's back to week 1 when everyone plugged in Mostert and then Debo broke the slate. Yeah, that's what you have to do. And guess what? 60% of my lineups are dead with Wilson, but I've got the other 10% of my lineups. That's 15 decent builds when most people are putting 20 or less Millie Maker lineups in. I've got 15 at 10% Garoppolo that are sitting there going off with the passing stacks. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that's the theory behind what I'm talking about. So let's move on. Let's go to wide receiver. Guys, we're almost at 200. We're about 7 minutes behind 200 likes. Let's go. We can get these 200 likes up. Keep it rolling. I appreciate you guys. Throw in the chat some of the wide receivers you want to talk about. But AP, I'm going to flip it right back to you. We're going to go to wide receiver, going to go to the chalk at the top and let you talk about Michael Gallup for 4,200. It was giddy up Gallup week last week, I thought, and it wasn't. But now he gets all the pickup, all the ownership. He was already going to be popular. And then we got Amari Cooper out, which makes it that much worse. So, he's up to almost 30%. You got Higgins there as well. Going back to those Burrow stacks, I think Higgins will be the most popular for sure in those builds. But what are you doing here at this wide receiver position this week?
Yeah, I mean, Gallup, obviously a phenomenal play. I think T. Higgins is going to be the next guy. I mean, T. Higgins, like this guy is just a lock for double-digit fantasy points. He has 4 or 5 games in a row where he's gotten close to that 100-yard mark, hasn't hit it, and no touchdowns too. So if you add in the 100-yard bonus, if he can get there or a touchdown, he gets you 20 plus. So I think people are going to look at that, see that, and feel like he's a safe option. Wide receiver, definitely very interesting. I want Tyreek Hill, obviously, is going to be my highest owned guy, paired with Patrick Mahomes, obviously. And the reason why, so Trayvon Diggs, one of the best cover corners in the NFL. Could get some one-on-one time with Tyreek Hill. We see. I don't care how good you are. We see what happens in those type of matchups. Now, I'm telling you, Dallas defense aggressive. They like to be aggressive. Spagnuolo with the Chiefs, they like to be aggressive. I think with both teams being aggressive, I think it's just going to create a really nice environment for scoring. I think you're going to see a ton of passes. I think over the middle of the field is going to open up for Dalton Schultz. We'll talk about tight end, but going to open up for Dalton Schultz, also CeeDee Lamb. So the way maybe to get a little bit different is to try and find ways to jam in both Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb, some of these two high-priced receivers from the same game, because I think that the Michael Gallups, maybe even, and maybe not, but, Byron Pringle looked like the wide receiver number 2 on the Chiefs side last week, at least. It looks like they're kind of giving up on McCole Hardman, and Pringle just looked so much better. But I think one way to get a little bit different is trying to jam two of these expensive receivers from the same game into your builds, because a lot of people are going to want Devontae Adams. I want him too. Phenomenal play. So it's just a really interesting discussion. But up top, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill for me. I think Tyreek Hill is just in line. He's another one of those guys we talk about that can get you 30 plus, absolutely can break a slate. CeeDee Lamb in the same game, I think, is in that same discussion. Another guy who can break a slate up there with the Christian McCaffreys, the Devontae Adams of the world. I do think with Cooper out, the CeeDee Lamb should be in that discussion as well. And I don't want to take all these guys, but then it's one reason why Joe Burrow is on my list is you got Jamar Chase right up there too. I think he gets kind of left out in this group, and he's been phenomenal. He has so many monster games this year, and so he's a really interesting tournament guy if you're trying to get a little bit different off of the Chiefs-Cowboys game.
Yeah, and I like the point you brought up, because Lamb definitely can break the slate in his own right. He's had some pretty big games. There's no Amari Cooper. The guy can get loose. Watch him shake guys on routes. It's incredible to watch how good he is and how quickly he can get open. I don't, again, people will stack that because they're stacking this game. But one thing I would caution if you're going that route, because I do love it, is I wouldn't just make it work by using Gallup to make it fit. And then I know you're adding more correlation, but remember, you're adding the highest owned cheap wide receiver on the slate. That doesn't always work out. You can go down to a guy like Cedric Wilson. You can go down to Schultz. I love the Dak, Lamb, Schultz, run it back with Tyreek. I think that's a great stack. And then I think a lot of people are using these cheap running backs to go with Tyreek and Adams, because obviously look at what you can get out of that. Again, I think that's a bit of an issue for me. I don't really want to have Tyreek and Adams in the same builds necessarily. In cash, totally get it. Makes perfect sense. You're literally grabbing two of the highest projected, highest prop guys on the slate, best environments, get great quarterbacks. I get all of it. You say, why wouldn't you want it in tournaments then? It's just more of my setup, like I just talked about. I want to build differently, because in that same cash game lineup, you probably have the 3 cheap running backs. You probably have Gallup. There, plug in your 3v3 of the onesie positions where you need a quarterback, a tight end, and a defense. That's the cash lineup today for you. JT Hayes, give me your thoughts here at wide receiver, though. These guys at the top, especially Gallup, Higgins, Adams, Hill. What are you doing with them? And then move into guys that you're using to get off the chalk, or ways you're using these guys, like I talked about, to get off the chalk in the build construction.
Yeah, there's 2 guys up top that I think are in good spots that are not in this game that I'm going to be building around a lot. And that's Jamar Chase for the Bengals, and then A.J. Brown for the Titans. Everyone's talking about Marcus Johnson, people in chat talking about Marcus Johnson. I just think this is a spot for A.J. Brown to break out against a really toothless Texans defense. The challenge I have, and maybe this is why I just have a harder time with this Chiefs-Cowboys game, in addition to the number of different ways that the play calling could go, is if you want to stack one of the quarterbacks, you want to get Tyreek, you want to get CD, and you want to get Kelsey or Schultz, then you're kind of left with, you're going to go with the chalk cheap running backs, and then you're kind of left at these other positions with all these other guys in this game, right? Gallup, who is coming back from injury, Hardman, Pringle, these are all like single game slate all-stars, right? Like they can help you win a showdown slate, but are they going to help you win a 12-game slate? And that's why I say, if you're doing it, just go all in, hope this game doesn't go just to 56, it goes to 70, and then boom, then you're there. But I think it's really hard. I wrote this up in the Gems article about the other weapons for Kansas City they've just been random, been very unpredictable. AP mentions Byron Pringle looked like the number 2 last week. 3 weeks ago, it was Demarcus Robinson. 2 weeks ago, it was Mecole Hardman. So it's really hard on a 12-game slate to get all invested in some of these guys. But if you're doing a full game stack, I totally get it. You mentioned Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams in a good spot. He's done really well in these matchups. Minnesota has a hard time covering him. And then you want to get cheaper. You talked about Jalen Waddle. Someone mentioned Flacco in chat. I think it was 2 years ago. Flacco had a spot start for the Jets, and I thought, hey, I'm going to go ahead and put him in. And I think he got like 4 fantasy points. So not going to go the Flacco route, but both of the top 2 wide receivers there against a defense that's maybe league average. Jamison Crowder and Corey Davis are both 5K and 4.7. I don't know how much of them I'll have because like I said, I do like the Bengals quite a bit here. And then someone else in chat mentioned CJ Uzomah going to vulture a touchdown. I think Uzomah is one of the best tight end plays on the board over the last 6 weeks. The Raiders given up the most points to opposing tight ends. So I don't know if I'd call it a vulture. I expect Uzomah to be heavily involved in this game plan today, and I like him at 3.5.
The Burrow love just keeps oozing out of JT Hayes. It just keeps stacking up. I love it. So let me talk about this for a second, because I do think one thing for certain, you mentioned it, all these expensive guys, but I think it's sort of that next tier. We're going to get to the value, of course, guys, and we're pushing the fastest 300 likes would be in the next 10 minutes. So we can get to 300 likes. That would be amazing. So keep rolling with that. Keep throwing your questions in chat. We'll get to as many as possible and talk about these situations. But I like that next tier range. And you guys mentioned some of them, but I think some potential slate breakers, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, who I spoke about, AJ Brown, who you just spoke about. I think DJ Moore at 5,900, the cheapest we've seen him. You don't necessarily have to go to Cam, and you can just play him racking up those catches. I saw in the chat, my guy Natasify mentioned Terrace Marshall Jr. There you go. Go with that if you like instead. I think 5,900 for DJ Moore is cheap. And then after that, you got, Pittman, some of the other guys, Diggs, we talked about, some of those guys that are just sort of not quite the most expensive, but they can you could see them easily get 2 touchdowns or something and get ahead and have a good, a heavy impact on this slate, in the sense that everyone's looking for their Adams or their Cincy stacks or whatever else it might be that I keep talking about. Alex Hahn loves it though. He says JTA's winning a lot of cash today. AP, what are your thoughts here on the rest of the wide receiver position? And then talk about some values. There's Rashad Bateman with no Marquise Brown. There's the, Cedric Wilson, if you want to go lower in that game. Marcus Johnson, who we spoke about. What are your thoughts on some of these cheap guys at the wide receiver position this week?
Yeah, first I got to backtrack a little bit. Just, JT Hayes brings up a really good point about Mahomes, how he likes to spread it around. I mean, you could make the case to have a Mahomes or just single stack with like a Tyreek Hill, because Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, his 2 favorite targets, obviously pretty expensive. You're going to have to punt somewhere to make it work. But with Tyreek Hill, he's getting peppered with targets, and then forcing your lineups elsewhere, I think, is a really interesting path and could make a lot of sense, because Mahomes still has that upside. He's still has a high probability of putting up a good number here. So he's still the guy I want. But I think when I revisit my rules, that's something that I'm going to look at and consider with all of these pretty, there's a lot of strong options in the mid-tier range. I just want to stick to like guys in good game environments. Going back to the Bengals, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, 2 guys that I think are very much in play. The spot I'm a little, kind of torn on what to do. I mean, Christian Kirk, this range, like this guy has gotten a ton of targets too. His role right there, kind of like T. Higgins. I'm just really unsure. I don't trust like Colt McCoy getting him the ball, but still look at the past few weeks with D-Hop out. I mean, you're not going to complain about the numbers that he's putting up and the opportunities that you're going to get. I do think in that game, and I'm not trying to go back to running back, but James Conner probably is the safer path to go. Another thing too, I got to go back to the Titans game, that 27-28 team total, staring me right in the face. JT Hayes again, like the AJ Brown. I like that call. My fear, like I like Marcus Johnson. He does seem like the wide receiver 2 coming off a nice 6-target game, but box score lurkers are going to look at that and they're going to think, wow, let's bump this guy up. It seems to be a very viable option. But we've seen them get the Nick Heineke involved. We've seen them at times get Chester Rogers involved. So another team that can spread it around. I think what you need to do is make some scans and really look at the projections and guys that you don't like under project and guys that you do like, add a couple points onto those guys. I think that is going to be the move that I make when I finalize my rules and finalize my builds. Got a question for you guys too. So do we have news on Hollywood Brown? Because Rashad Bateman would be a guy that I would have a lot of interest in at 4,500 right there in that value tier.
Yeah, I think Bateman's definitely going to be popular, but maybe not as popular as he could be. I'd be looking for ways to get a little bit unique with it. I don't think necessarily, like I said, kind of how I mentioned the Adams and Tyreek situation earlier for me, not really wanting to put those two together. I think there'll be a lot of Bateman and Gallup lineups just to make other things work, whether it's to get up the CMC or to get it to work the other way with Mahomes, Tyreek, Bateman, Gallup. Like that to build to me is just not something I could see. Could it get to the top? Sure. Would I ever get to the top with that lineup? Definitely not. It's just too popular for the entire setup. Even if you do go a little bit unique at the other positions, I think you need a lot more to go. So, and Hoop is in the chat. Hoop just got dialed in. I know he likes to see 300 likes before the morning wood up next. We got almost 500 watching already. Yes, Holden, we know Hollywood's out. That's why we're talking about it, my friend. We love you. But we just are saying, Bateman is a guy that looks good. I thought last game when they were playing together, I said, man, this guy should get 20 targets. I think it was a showdown game, and he made every catch. It was like 7 for 8, 80. Felt like they should just throw it to him all the time. I hope they do. I'm a big Ravens fan, but again, we have to see. Is Lamar going to play? Is this 50-50 thing real? We'll have to wait and see. He said he eats his Flintstone vitamins and his immune system should be healthy, but it's not looking that way. We have to see how it goes down the stretch here. Let's move on in the spirit of time. JT Hayes, you mentioned Uzoma at the tight end position. We've got Cole Kmet chalk week. Speaking about that same game, you want to run a little secondary stack with Cole Kmet, Rashad Bateman. There's your option. Travis Kelce and Darren Waller. And don't forget Dan Arnold sneaking his way up to the top again for a third straight week. What are you doing here at the tight end position?
I mentioned Uzoma and I mentioned Mike Gesicki. Dalton Schultz is getting a lot of steam, I think, and I don't think he's a terrible play. I think that Kansas City's been vulnerable against the tight end. And the thing about Cooper is when Cooper has I'm talking about Amari Cooper who's out. When Cooper has his big games, he's still only getting 8-9 targets. I think he had 6 targets last week, right? So yeah, there's going to be a lot more routes run, but in terms of targets, it's kind of an interesting thing to boil down and say, okay, you have 6 extra targets, right? So you figure 2 are going to go to Lamb. You've got Gallup starting. Concerned a little bit about Cedric Wilson. I think Cedric Wilson is going to get some ownership, and he played 1 offensive snap last week. Now he was coming back from injury, so perhaps that has something to do with it. But Uzoma, I like this week. The Raiders on the season giving up the most fantasy points to opposing tight ends, and that stays the same in the last 6 weeks. So 6 week in a season-long sample where they're getting burned by the tight end. And Cincinnati had shown they'll get Uzoma involved in the offense. I think it was a showdown slate where you had to have him at captain to win because he got something like 6 targets and got into the box twice. So I like those 2 guys. And then one last point on the Hollywood Brown Lamar thing. If Lamar is out, they are so thin, the Ravens are, sorry, Tambo, so thin on playmakers all over the place without him. Bears defense is 2.5. And one of the running backs that's cheap that we didn't mention that I like, whether or not Lamar is out, is David Montgomery at 5.5. So I wanted to go back just to mention him because he's in my primary build right now. So at tight end, just to sum it up, it's going to be Uzoma and then Gesicki, where I'm playing different pieces of that Kansas City Dallas game. I'll have one of Schultz or Kelce. And then, I think that's probably about it for me.
Yeah, I like that. And the chat's getting on you for pronouncing CJ Uzoma correctly when you pronounce everything else very wrong. So that's amazing to see. Hit the like button if you want to get
hold on a second.
Proper pronunciation.
I don't pronounce anything wrong. I don't pronounce anything wrong. The chat interprets it in a way that is suboptimal, and I'm just going to ignore that comment. Very hurtful.
We'll come back to it. We're gonna get some more likes, and then you're gonna have to give us the proper pronunciation for CJ Uzoma. But AP, I'm gonna come to you on the same position here. Cole Kmet at the top. I like that JT Hayes brought up Montgomery. I think that could be one of the sneakier ways to go about a secondary stack with Bateman. Use Montgomery to run it, and then I think also real quick, skipping ahead to defense, because we are going to talk about a few other things. But with defense, if Lamar was ruled out, I would actually have some interest in the late D $2,500 Chicago Bears and even pair it with Montgomery, because they're going to be in big trouble if Lamar is also ruled out in this spot and it's Trace McSorley at the helm. But talk about tight end, AP, for me.
Yeah, I'm definitely, so I feel like this is going to be a spot I get different on, but I don't feel like I'm getting different, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not playing Cole Kmet. Jimmy Graham has stolen targets from him. We saw Jesse James a few games ago, or 2 games ago, steal a touchdown from him. So I'm under projecting him. One of my favorite tight ends outside of Kelsey is definitely George Kittle, 6'3". He looked really good last week, and he looks healthy. He looks good to go. I think the 49ers are just going to really put it to the Jags here. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kittle had a really nice game. So when I'm looking at like my Mahomes to Tyreek Hill builds, where I had Kelsey in there too as kind of a double stack, if I move off of Kelsey to Kittle, I get some nice salary relief there. He's almost, I believe, like $800 cheaper than Kelsey. So allows you a little bit more flexibility in your lineups. But for me, up top too, it's Kelsey. He was a touchdown away from having a monster game last week. 10 targets, Tyreek Hill, a bunch of targets. I do think the Mahomes double to Hill and Kelsey is very much viable this week. I think pricing standpoint, they're priced just nice enough to work. I don't know, but the one problem though is I don't know if that's winning like a milli maker. I don't know if the ceiling is there with those guys to win a milli maker. So that's something to keep in mind. But I think in your single entry type contest, it definitely would be viable. As far as other tight ends, I'm looking at Dalton Schultz too. I think he's going to have a ton of opportunity over the middle against this Chiefs defense. 4.6, I think, is a very fair price tag on him. And let's not, Amari's out, but let's not forget there are other tight ends out too. So Schultz is going to get all the work there, with CD and the other guys on their team. I do like these Uzoma call. I added him to my pool just for you, JT Hayes, but I'm trying to eliminate some of these like super cheap punt tight ends from my player pool this week, because I do think Kelsey, I do think even Waller in a run back with the Burrow stacks, I do think Schultz and Kittle, all these guys are going to put up a big number. I do think we want a big number from our tight end. The other rule that I am locking in, though, is I only want one tight end this week. I do not want any tight ends in my flex spot. So it is one guy, and I want it to be Kittle, Kelsey, Schultz, Waller, Uzoma, just for JT Hayes. And that's kind of my pool at tight end this week.
Yeah, I like a lot of those takes. I got to correct myself very quickly. I got punished by the reminder. I saw that Trace McSorley was brought up from the practice squad, which scares me a little bit for Lamar, but it's to back up Tyler Huntley, the man with the great first name. But like someone said in the chat, maybe you feel okay about Huntley and you don't change your plays with the Ravens because of that. And one of the guys at tight end that would be in my position here thinking about it is, while everyone wants to go Bateman for cheap, I see Andrews coming in with pretty low ownership for the spot. And usually that's a guy that they rely on to move the chains when they don't have a guy like Hollywood in there. So I think that makes some sense. I love the Kittle call. He's down anytime he's a little bit lower owned than he should be. I like that. Mike Gesicki's in there. And then some of the other cheaper guys the chat mentioned that I like, Tyler Conklin in that Green Bay game, if you wanted sort of a secondary stack with Dylan, or if you're like me and you're stacking Aaron Rodgers up, you can definitely do that. So let's make a final push for 300 likes, guys. We got about 5-6 minutes left here. We are going to talk some defense. JT Hayes, anybody else you want to talk about at tight end? And then if not, move on to defense and let's round it out the show with that.
No, AP brought up Waller. That's one guy I didn't mention that I do have interest in that game environment.
Yeah, I like Waller quite a bit as well. Like you said, if you're going to run in my Mixon stacks I mentioned earlier, Mixon at running back, secondary stack would be with a guy like Waller, Renfro. Those are the pieces I like from that side. Defense is showing the Browns quite heavily owned here. And I think that's obviously with the Boyle situation there in Detroit. That to me is, something we've talked about plenty in the past, JT Hayes, where What does Detroit do here? Do they make it easy on them? Does it lead to less opportunity? Would you just X out Cleveland D? And then what else are you doing at the position for this week?
Yeah, so I think there are two defenses that at least we've been talking about here at Runpure Sports. Gary brought them up. The Washington defense, kind of a pretty good leverage play against what could be higher ownership for Cam Newton, right? Figuring that, hey, Newton may be back, but that he's not going to be quite as good as he was in those limited snaps that he got last week. If he gets more opportunity there, you mentioned, PJ Walker may play a few snaps as well. The Carolina defense has been very good this year as well. They're playing a team, the Washington football team, not a ton of weapons. Antonio Gibson did finally have a big game last week. But for me, like I said, if Lamar is out, I do like the Bears at 2-5. I think this is one of those weeks where unless you're paying up to get one of the San Francisco, for instance, is one of the higher priced defenses that I think is going to be fairly popular, then I don't mind paying all the way down and make sure that I end up with upside at each of the other spots in my lineup. So right now, Chicago's as low as I would go. I think Tennessee's defense has been really good. Held down the Rams a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think they're getting a ton of ownership. They're probably a little bit higher priced as well. So yeah, I think for me, that's kind of where I'm looking.
Yeah, I like some of the others too. Ravens, like I mentioned earlier, you can go the other side of that if Lamar is ruled out, but I think the Eagles, some of these are a little bit down there that not as many people are going to. And then there's even the cheap defenses down at the bottom. I would only be taking these in the sense of trying to get better builds, at the wide receiver position, things like that. But even like the Jets, the Lions, I just think with Cleveland, it's okay to have some. I just think what's going to happen is if they get you the 9-10, you're happy with it at the price, but it might not be enough to get you to the top of those large field tournaments when somebody shells out a 20 banger or something like that. So AP, what are your thoughts here at defense this week?
Yeah, very similar to where you guys are at. I mean, Panthers are a defense I definitely have a ton of interest in. I got them ranked second. 2-7 is a very fair price tag. Great matchup here. Against Heineke. He did not throw an interception last week like I thought he would, but his other 7 games, he averaged almost 2 interceptions per game, well, one and a half roughly. So I think it's a great spot for the Panthers. Tennessee, this defense is very good. They've held teams with a ton of firepower to limited points. I think they're a great option. The Browns I want to get off the Browns defense. I got them ranked really high. Obviously a great spot against the Lions, who just this Lions team is terrible. But the Browns defense, I don't even think they've looked very good all season. So I'm going to try to get off of them. So for me, Panthers, Titans, Washington, have exposure to them. And then I'll have a little bit of the Chiefs too, just to get a little bit different in that game. They've been, they're aggressive. Spagnuolo, he's always blitzing. They're always trying to get turnovers. So for me, it's about sacks and turnovers, and would not be surprised if they got a couple and no one's going to play them. They're 2-2. I know everyone laugh. I know Homer AP, on the Chiefs again. Here we go. Yep. I digress. There we go.
It's going to be different this week. That's what they say, AP. It's going to be different this week. So,
man.
I'm with you there. I got mentioned in the chat again about Cleveland, like you said, and we talk about this all the time over at RPS on the Monday review show. If you guys want to get access to that show, again, promo code RPS Heater 25, get in the Discord for this week, and then get in on that review show Monday after we win all the giblets today. But I think when you think about it, just looking back, Cleveland D, Del Sol says a high school quarterback. It's one of those situations. Sometimes they just try and make it easier on them, even in a shutout, even with just a few sacks. If there's no scoop and scores, pick sixes, all that, you can easily have somebody else throw up 20, and then you're in big trouble. So if you want to go with them, I set a rule this week for Cleveland to have some, but I think it's every single Cleveland lineup I have is with Chubb. So that's just a way to get a little bit different to make sure that, look, if it's going to go that way, I expect them just to run it out strong, have a good game from top to bottom all the way through. So trying to be a little bit different like that. We didn't quite hit the 300 likes, so we'll see. The Morning Wood's still coming up next, guys. Before they go on, let's get it to 300 likes for them. Anything else, JT, that you want to add for this week? Otherwise, give me your off-the-chalk play of the week.
Yeah, and AP, I was smiling at the Chiefs defense because as I was making some lineups yesterday, I got down to them and I'm like, can I play them, right? Can I play them? It will be contrarian. And like you said, right? You're looking for sacks and turnovers. We're not looking for shutouts because they rarely happen in the NFL. And let's say a ball gets tipped and you get a pick six and they end up with 8 at 2-2. If it gets you everything you want, I think it's fine. So my off-the-chalk play of the day is, you're not going to be surprised by it, Cincinnati Bengals. Jamar Chase outscores everybody in the Kansas City-Dallas game.
Ooh, I like that. Gold. Here we go. And then AP, what are you thinking for this week?
Yeah, my off-the-chalk play, by surprise to many, is going to be George Kittle. Tight end position, a little bit of salary relief off of Travis Kelce. I do think Kittle is one of the guys that has the ability to put up a number very similar to Kelce and allow us to get a little bit different in our lineups today.
And I'm going to go with one that we didn't talk enough about, but he's up there on mine, and I'm going to give it away anyway. This is a guy, we know he likes things in groups of 4, but maybe we'll just take 2 this week with touchdowns, and that's DK Metcalf at the wide receiver position. I really like him this week. I think you can use him in some secondary stacks with a guy like James Conner. So great show, guys. I appreciate all you guys. We're at 280 on the way out. Hit that 300 before the morning wood gets started. For JT Hayes, for AP, for producer Simon and myself, thank you and good luck this week.
Some people might call me the Michael Jordan of fantasy, and I'm not going to argue with them.
When all is said and done, the whistles go, woo!
Awesemo, you've been number 1 for multiple years now, but I'm coming for you, buddy. Let's go!
I'm Alex Baker, sometimes better known by my DraftKings handle, Awesemo. I'm trying to win this DraftKings football championship for a cool $2.5 million. At these live finals, I've had so many people come up and they're like, I want to be as good a player as you, but I just don't have the time between like a family and a job. And that's really why I started Awesemo.com. We feel like playing DFS professionally or playing for profit shouldn't be a full-time job. You should be able to get all the information you need in an easy manner and be successful and still be able to have a life outside of DFS. I just got back from my honeymoon like last Monday, so I did miss a little bit of the football action, so I'm trying to like figure out like what happened in this week and a half. Now I'm not playing for one person anymore. I'm playing for 2 people, so I got to make sure I win it for me and my wife now that we're married.
Have you qualified for Miami yet?
Yeah, I got a couple entries, so it'll be fun to go out there and compete. It's like $2.5 million this year. 2 of the guys I'm keeping an eye out for are BigT and the Whistles Go Woo.
Alex, these guys, I mean, you, in my mind at least, you're the unmistakable GOAT of DFS. So you've been a number 1 player for the 3, 4, 5 years now. What is it?
Yeah, like 5 years. Like if I can keep it this year, it'll be 5. And you also got some new guys that are trying to be in that mix. Whistles Go Woo is one of them, where he's kind of come onto the scene more recently and taken the world by storm.
My name is David Bergman, a.k.a. The Whistles Go Woo! And I'm one of the, I am the champion from last year. That's all I'm going to say. Took it down somewhat in a surprise fashion, I would say. But I'm back again and hoping to repeat if possible. 3 years ago, certainly nobody in the daily fantasy sports world had known about me. I think a ton of people in academia had known me as a professor, succeeding in academic research, in teaching, and doing very well in that trajectory, but certainly not in the daily fantasy sports world. You grow up, you start to understand the things that you've got some skill in. Mine has always been speed. I do everything quickly. I do math quickly. I do computer programming quickly. I solve Rubik's Cubes ridiculously quickly, under 20 seconds. Can even do it blindfolded, also very quickly. Speed was always mine. It helps me in daily fantasy sports. I can make really quick decisions.
Yeah, if I had to guess how many gigahertz David Bergman's brain operated at, I'd probably guess 2.6 gigahertz.
Some people wonder how I succeed on DFS. Well, this is my brain on DFS. I'd be happy to talk about Big T44 as well. He is one of the nicest guys you could ever meet.
My name is Tony Niehaus, screen name on DraftKings, Big T44. I'm here at home right now, but we are working on the road to the FFWC. That is the goal the rest of the year. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been in sports, played basketball, football, golf, baseball. My whole life, it was always, even growing up on Sundays, my punishment would be I'm not allowed to watch football if I ever got in trouble. I've always loved sports. It's why it kind of clicked. Even my wife, Amber, says this was a natural fit from the beginning for me.
There was really no question that this would line up perfectly with who he is, what he's great at, what he loves to do.
Watch these games, pick winners, and just have fun with it, because it's not work for me when I really enjoy it. I would say my biggest edge DFS-wise is for sure the feel of the game, but you have to have numbers in there too. But when you mix the feel and the numbers, I think that's where you get the deadly combo. And if you can do both, I like your chances. So the sweat of DFS is my favorite part. We put our teams in on Sundays, let's say. We go, we watch all the games, we make adjustments, we make late swaps, we see how we're doing in the standings. I probably watch more games than almost anyone, so the sweat part's fun for me. I know the guys I'm super heavy on. I know the guys I'm rooting for. I know the guys I'm rooting against, and honestly, that's the funnest part for me, sitting down watching the games. All the work is done. We just get to see how our work produces, and I love it.
The journey that we're on in this until the Fantasy Football World Championship is to follow along some of the biggest players in fantasy sports, culminating in December in Miami for the big day. Let's go.
Some people call me the songbird of my generation. Other people call me the Michael Jordan of hosting. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Uncle T is not here, but his nephew Big T is here. And G Risen is not here, but the best guy we have in Michigan is here at Hoop. Good morning, gentlemen. I'm still trying to wake up here. It's been a good morning, and basically all I can say is Nick Chubb till I die. That's it. I got Nick Chubb props. I got Nick Chubb. How popular is Nick Chubb going to be? Because I'm going to be 100% on Nick Chubb today.
He's going to be unowned, so you're going to be having all to yourself.
Oh, he isn't.
You've said all facts. I mean, all facts so far, Holden. I mean, you're on very factually speaking so far to start the show. And Chubb, I agree with Tony. I don't think he's going to be all that highly owned. I mean, it's just like last week. We talked about the running backs, just as many this week. So, I mean, none of them, some of them will be super popular, but Chubb, I don't think so because of the price.
Chubb isn't going to be one of them for sure.
No.
So you're going to have them all to yourself.
Very good. Give them all to me. Give me all the Chubb. Hoop, you're very patriotic today. It's nice to see your America hat.
So the wife goes to all these, she loves the art shows and craft shows and all that shit. And I mean, I refuse to go, and always comes home with all this garbage. I call them crap shows. My dad always called them crap shows, so I call them crap shows. And she came home with this hat for me. I'm like, damn, I actually really like this thing. Nice little snapback. Got the leather flag on the front. The only good thing that's ever come out of a craft show right here on top of my mug.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than that, dude. I mean, I've never had a woman go to the craft show. The kids usually go, but boy, that is a horrible
Yeah, you've never had of all the ladies you've had, none of them have ever gone to a craft show.
I've had some stinkers, but like you go to a craft show with me and you tell me about it, we're done.
Yeah. I mean, she pretends like the kids want to go. She's like, the kids really want to go. Can you come too? Like I fell for that trap years ago. Yeah. Kids have no interest in that shit. Like, you kidding me? They're done within like 5 minutes. So then I'm trying to entertain the kids, and no, I mean it works out now. She just goes, long story short, this hat came from a craft show, and I actually like it.
I apologize, everybody. It's really my fault that we went the craft show route. Don't blame that on Hoop. That's all on me. No question. I'm complete.
At what point do we get to the point of the program where we talk about Hoop already having his Christmas stuff up?
Do you?
No, I don't.
I saw a picture with the Christmas tree up.
The tree, I mean, people, it seems like are going earlier and earlier on this stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this goes back to the carpet story. So, I mean, we don't want to go down this path, do we? The Christmas stuff is related to the Christmas stuff is related to the carpet story as well. Come here, bud. Landon wants to show people his. Can you get in there? I don't know. It's not picking it up.
Son's in here too. Yeah, he's in.
It's not picking it up. We'll get you next time, bud. But yeah, so it's all related, and we don't want to go down that route again. So we'll just we'll leave it at that. Why you don't have anything up yet?
Hell, no, it's before Thanksgiving. It's not even December.
Yeah, see, it was always like the Thursday after Thanksgiving or Friday after Thanksgiving when it was acceptable, right?
I mean, I think for sure not before Thanksgiving. Yeah. I mean, Holden, what's the ruling on this? I mean, you can't be – people just keep going earlier and earlier. There's people out there yesterday in my neighborhood putting up Christmas lights. It's like – it's not even damn Thanksgiving. You can't go 2 holidays ahead. I think that's why Thanksgiving was always the rule, like the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah. You can't go 2 holidays ahead.
It all started last year with all this COVID crap. People had nothing to do. They're stuck in their house. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, well, you know,
I can see that. I'm okay with that.
But now it's an ongoing trend.
Like, at what point
I
are we just leaving them on?
But we got a tiger.
What is that?
I Holden would like that.
Holden thought that was hilarious. What is it?
Tony, zero reaction from Big T. Can't even crack a freaking smile off his boy Landon.
I don't know. I don't get it. What is it supposed to be?
He's a kid in a tiger mask.
Well, what's it from, though? It's not Halloween. What are we going back a holiday too in the Hoop household?
I think
we're going back. We're going forward.
Yeah. What is going on here, Hoop? Though, what was that planned?
Where did it come from? We just bought a tiger out ahead?
No, my mom's into all this. She's got all this crap at her house. We were there last night, and he really wanted this tiger thing, so he's been wearing the tiger.
I'm not going to listen, Hoop. I will never talk about anybody's mom bad, but is she into furries? Be honest with me.
You got to follow him on Snapchat, and you'll see some good stuff.
No, that's Jen's mom.
Both
moms is into furries.
It's not both moms I've seen having some dances and stuff. Maybe.
Back to the Christmas stuff, though. Like I said, it all started last year. Everyone was sitting in their house with nothing to do, so they said, "Oh, I'm going to start decorating early." But now I don't think it's ever going back. Everyone's just so. I mean, it was like after now. Okay, the norm used to be after Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving. That's when you'd start. Now I feel it's like right after Halloween. People are like, "All right, let's get the Christmas stuff rolling." They've merged Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it's not
in the
holidays.
One thing.
Yeah. But I just got the tree because the freaking carpet situation in the basement. That's why the tree's up right now.
I mean, that was like the worst thing ever in your life, I feel like, was this whole carpet thing.
It was a great story, but you hate hoop story. Like, you literally hate any story.
The cornhole one was the worst. Yeah. We were celebrating, and he just gave it no time of down.
I mean, me and Big T were just like pure joy, and
taking on the whole world. And Holden just had no time for
Shut it the fuck down. Like,
he went right back to like Manny Sanders news or something. He had no interest.
No, it's almost your obsession with carpet hoop is almost as big as Uncle T's obsession with his birthday. Like, literally every show we've done on the Old Guys pod, he brings up his birthday. It was months ago, and he's still bringing it up what he wants for his
There are people
that you and your carpet.
No, the carpet. I mean, it was an intriguing story. People are reaching out to me like, "Hey, did the carpet situation get settled?" I mean, people were into the story. Only person that apparently had zero interest in the carpet story was you, and it's resolved. If you want, I mean, I'm not going to go back into it, but they sent the crew this week. Dude's busted ass and got this shit done in one day. Looks phenomenal. You'll never have to hear about the carpet in my basement again.
All right, boys. Let's
just transitioned.
Just right off of it. Like, zero reaction. Hate my stories. Hate my stories.
Yeah, no, I love your stories. Just the
straight transition is my favorite. No comment.
Zero reaction.
Straight transition.
All right. All right. That's what I say. The goal today is 600 likes. We're at 328 right now. These guys are giving out their winners. Come on, be happy. We're at 328 right now. We can get to 600 by the end of the show, and we will get you the inactives too. So that'll be coming up. So I guess the big one right now is what? Lamar Jackson. And does that even matter to you guys? Because everybody is doing the Dallas Chiefs game, which, might be a great move, right? But any thoughts on Lamar Jackson, if he's in or if he's out? Does it change anything for you, Hoop, with the guys that you already have in your pool?
Just Bateman. I mean, I like Bateman if he's in. If Lamar's out, no interest in Bateman. So really, I mean, for me, it's only Bateman, maybe Bears defense, if you want to add them into the player pool if Lamar's out. So really the only two that matter for me would be Bateman and Bears D.
Okay. What do you think there, Big T?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I'm not going to use Lamar. I'm not going to use – well, yeah, I mean, I agree with you because I'll play with some Bateman, I think, if Lamar is out – or if he's in, I mean. If he's out, I'm not going to use him. Bears D, though, I think is the biggest bump. If he's out, I really like the Montgomery Bears D stack. But if he's in, obviously, I probably don't like that as much. So, yeah, I don't think he plays, though. I mean, it kind of feels – different than the last million times that he was out with an illness.
Because he's got two. It hit him, and then he was fine for a day, and then it hit him again. So I don't know.
How does he get sick this much?
It happened to me a couple of years ago before the COVID. It just never stopped. Like, I've gotten COVID twice, but this guy's not even getting the COVID now, right? He had 2 COVIDs and now 3 other ones, and he said he's taking Flintstone vitamins.
His immune system must just suck or something.
Yeah, it's bad. It's definitely not good. It's not a good thing. And then the other one, does this move the needle for you at all, Tony, with Tyron Smith probably being out? That's the left tackle. Very important with Dallas.
I mean, just since I put my player pool up on the page last night, I'm probably slightly lower on the Dallas game than I was. I'm not fading it or anything. I'm still playing plenty of it, but I'm slightly lower than I was.
Well, that's the big story, Hoop. Like, where are you on this? Because you're playing what, mostly cash this week? Are you mostly cash, 100-man tournaments and stuff like that? All right. So give me the breakdown.
It is concerning when you look at the numbers with and without him. I mean, their offense is just not very efficient when he's out. I mean, the problem is it's a freaking 56 total. I mean, the best game, like, by far on this slate. They're likely going to have to push the pace, like, regardless. It's not enough to get me off Dallas. I mean, the game's just too damn good. I mean, it's just a really, really appealing DFS game. So it's somewhat concerning, but I'm not going to let it change my opinion on the game.
Okay.
Could be right. Could be wrong on that, honestly. I mean, that could be the wrong call too, because the numbers are very clear with and without him.
A lot of
the wildest part about that game for me, though, is that the Chiefs are only favored by 2.5, and that's more concerning to me than anything about the Chiefs. Like, maybe it was just a little bit of an illusion last week with how bad the Raiders are, and they haven't looked good all season. The spread tells you they're still not the greatest. I mean, I would have thought they'd be definitely over a field goal favorite at home.
Aren't the Cowboys one of those teams that just gets so much public money, regardless?
We talked about it all season, though. Like, the lines were shading against the Cowboys for the longest time. So, yeah, in the past, it was that way. But, man, I mean, Mahomes and the Chiefs only giving 2.5 at home definitely worries me.
Yeah. And the line actually moved a little bit. It was 3. Now it's 2.5. But there's a lot of interesting things going on in that game too, because we got to figure out if Edwards-Helaire is playing. If Edwards-Helaire, and he's probably going to play, right? So he's expected to play. Does that just take Damian Williams off the list, guys?
I mean, Damian Williams isn't on the list for me either way. Yeah. But there's so many good running backs.
Damian Williams isn't on the team.
Daryl.
I wasn't even making the joke. I was just going with it. But yeah.
Daryl Williams, Hoop. I get those two guys messed up all the time.
So do I. That's why I was able to point it out.
Daryl Williams. Yeah. Anything with him?
Yeah, I can't go there. I mean, it sounds like Edwards-Helaire is going to be in and play. I mean, it would probably be a split situation. So many good running backs. Why risk it?
All right. We'll get deeper into that game too as it goes along. We'll go game by game. Again, 600 is the goal today. I think you guys and ladies can do it. That'd be wonderful. Good morning, Title. Title's enjoying the show. That's wonderful to see. So we got a lot of things to get to here, and we're going to start this. with our first game of the day. By the way, these 1:00 games, not that sexy, not very sexy stuff. So I guess if we're gonna do a 1:00 game to start, Indianapolis at Buffalo, Tony, any reason to go to this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
Josh Allen to Diggs is maybe my favorite stack of the day. I mean, your floor is just massive with these guys. We say it every week. Colts defense has been terrible. The Colts play better from behind. So if Buffalo's up, the Colts can't just sit on the ball. You know Buffalo's not going to sit on the ball. They're going to keep throwing no matter what. The Colts are way better when they can't just run the ball. I mean, last week was so tilting. It happens every time, though. They go up 2 touchdowns and they just get so conservative that they never do anything else on offense. So if we can get Buffalo out front in this game, theoretically, both teams should be aggressive offensively, and that's perfect for a game stack. So I like it, and I like it that I don't love a ton of pieces. I mean, Allen to Diggs. I like Dawson Knox is a interesting tight end in the stack. I wouldn't play him not in the stack, but in the stack. And then a guy like Pittman. I mean, I always like Pittman. Good play again today. So I like this game a lot.
No Gabe Davis in a MME.
Not going to play old Gabe today, but I mean, I'll play a little in my 150 of like Beasley and Manny Sanders. I'm not going to play any Gabe Davis though.
So what do you got on this one, Hoop, with the Colts and the Bills?
Not like my favorite game, but I'm going to have like Allen to – if you're building multiple lineups, if you're building over 20 lineups, you should have some Allen to Diggs. I think probably every single week. We saw it last week. It was in the Millie winner. It could go back to back. Like these guys are so explosive together. It's a good spot at home for them. And it's not going to be highly owned. So Allen to Diggs, and then the run back is clear with Pittman. So I guess I agree with Big T. Like you don't need to get cute in this game. Like the main pieces are going to be pretty low owned as is. So like you can just play the best guys in this game and kind of move on. So really, I would probably only have Allen to Diggs and Pittman as a run back. None of those pieces are going to be overly popular. They're the best pieces in this game, clearly. So I'm good with that, and I'll just move on.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the weather too. Like sometimes you got issues in Buffalo with wind or rain. It's not looking bad either. Actually, there's literally no places that are scaring me off weather-wise.
There's rain in like Tennessee for the Titans game, but it's not. I mean, it's not anything to scare you away.
Yeah, just light rain throughout the day. So and the wind isn't there either. So I'm fine. That's good. I mean, that just takes something big out of the equation here. We don't have to worry about the weather as of right now. Just about anywhere. Okay, we're 372 likes. Tambo already got us halfway there. So let's get to 600. Let's get to 600 likes today. All the mojo is great. 600 likes, and hopefully Title won't come back on and give us his score next week. That'll be great.
I got one more point too about this game I forgot is I've played JT all year, but today is definitely a Nyheim Hines game for me because if they're playing from behind, he's 4,300. Again, a lot like Dawson Knox, I'm not going to play him not in the stack. But if you play Allen to Diggs, you can run it back with Nyheim Hines instead of Pittman and just hope he gets a ton of dump-offs playing from behind. And I think he could, honestly. 4,300 is super cheap for a PPR guy playing from behind like Hines. And he's going to be 1% owned, which is good in tournaments, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the only problem is, like, it to me, it's similar as, like, last week. So many good running back plays that are cheap. It's like, man, like I get it. I mean, yeah, well, you're going to be unowned if he happens to go off, but it's like, man, you're sacrificing so much by playing like a cheap, like almost punt running back. But I get your point. That would be my only concern there.
No, I mean, it was a great point you brought up last week too. And I definitely, it goes through my mind when I do it. The only positive is if he somehow does just have that game where he goes off and outscores them, like you just lap the field. But I mean, it's a good point. That's why I would never do it outside of a game stack and just hope you just bank that nut. But it is thin for sure.
And the other reason is the pricing overall is just a lot softer. Like quarterbacks, the good quarterbacks used to be closer to 10K. The good running backs would be closer to 10K. The good wide receivers would be closer to 10K. Now they're like capping all these guys. The quarterbacks are capped at like 8K. The running backs are capped at, it appears, like 9K. And then the wide receivers are capped at like 8.5K. So the need to like fully punt off certain positions comes down when you don't need the salary to get up to like the top plays. I wish they go back to the old pricing where it appeared like the top wide receivers would get up to like 10K. Like today, Tyreek Hill would be like 10K. Christian McCaffrey would be like 10.5K. Mahomes would be in the 9K range. It's just not there anymore. And it's just the pricing overall is just so much softer.
They used to make you play the true punts. I mean,
yes.
Even like 2 years ago, you'd always have to play some guy you were uncomfortable with.
Yep.
Days like today, you just don't. I mean, the guys you're playing that you're uncomfortable with are way better plays than they used to be, for sure.
Yes. They're second wide receivers instead of like fourth wide receivers that are cycling in like one every 4 plays or something.
Okay, good. We got that one out of the game. Like button, RPS Heater 25. If you haven't already signed up, 25% off your first payment of your monthly plan, 25% off. Hoop, you get Hoop's playbook. So everybody that's in his pool, actually, this is the cool part. You get Hoop's pool, you get Big T's player pool, JSU's player pool, AP's player pool. All these guys post their cores up there. We got cores for the early games. I was busting Uncle T's balls, but he's had some real success in that early slate. We got the late slate stuff that I've been picking off Bobby Gomes and a couple other guys too, Jamie Snyder, all these guys. And if I've missed your name, I apologize. And then obviously JT Hayes is in there too. Love it. So I actually like that JT Hayes is off the Kansas City Dallas game. I am not, but it's nice and refreshing to hear somebody is. And
that's what's good about our crew, though. You got guys on different takes. You can't have everyone coming on here saying the same thing, or else it doesn't give you a different perspective. You need some different perspectives to be able to form your own opinion.
Well, I think that's the easy thing. Like with a lot of sites, it's groupthink.
Yeah.
So you'll see some other sites. They'll be, all right, this is the game, or these are the 3 games that we're doing, and we're not going to go out of that. We got a huge team, so they're on everything. So like I said, I like listening to JT's thoughts today on kind of moving off this Kansas City Dallas game. But
you should never be closed-minded to anything in DFS.
You're right.
I mean, we say this all the time. Like, you should be able to change your opinion no matter what it is, based on what happens and what is said. Some of the stuff out there, like, you can't be too boxed in, or you're going to be in trouble.
All right, let's go. Let's get to this next one. And the next game, let's go to you, Hoop. Miami and the Jets. I'm going to give you a good one here.
Thanks. These are the Big T games. You're supposed to go to him. I mean, I can't imagine playing anybody for fantasy purposes on a team that is going to be led by Joe Flacco. I just totally agree. Just starting Joe Flacco here in this spot. I mean, to me, it just kills everything on the Jets side. I haven't played the Jets all that much this season, so it makes it easy to just be off of them. Not playing fantasy pieces from a team where Joe Flacco is the quarterback. On the Dolphins side, I do think they're somewhat interesting here. Tua, I think, is a guy that you can consider as a cheap quarterback on DraftKings. Honestly, probably more of like a cash type play opposed to tournament. I don't know if the upside's really there, but I think he can grind out enough in this spot to pay off his 5.5K price tag. Myles Gaskin is interesting, more of a FanDuel play. He's like 6'2". I know Tony will hate this play. I think he hates Gaskin, but 6'2". If he scores a touchdown, you're happy with it. The floor is relatively low. Waddle, I think, is a fine option. I prefer other tight ends over Gesicki. So for me, really, the only pieces in this game is going to be Tua on DraftKings. More of a grind it out, get you 15 to 20 fantasy points. So probably more for cash opposed to tournaments. Gaskin on FanDuel, and then Waddle, I think, is in play on both sides.
Yeah, Waddle, and then the other, my guy, Michael Carter. I love Michael Carter, but you're right. Like, how do I go to Michael Carter today? We don't know. Joe Flacco is just, it's awful. It's a bad, we got some bad quarterbacks going this week, and we'll talk about it too when we get to the Detroit game. There's something else going on there. Wow, just a lot of bad quarterback in play, and maybe in Baltimore too. Tony, do we just want to cross this one off the list, or you got a little gem for us?
No, so Hoop didn't listen to the Print Factory, because the first time ever, I like Myles Gaskin this week. The Jets.
Oh, all right, let's go.
The Jets have just, what's that saying, Holden? You're the host of Movable Object versus, what's that saying?
It's the unstoppable force versus the immovable object.
Yeah. So the opposite of that, where Gaskin sucks, but the Jets defense is the worst by far in football against running backs. That little flow chart I always post, they're at like 15 top running back performances. The next best is like 10. So they're like 5 games ahead of the next worst defense against running backs. So definitely going to play some Gaskin, and the rest. I agree with Hoop though. Not much out there. Flacco. I mean, maybe you could play a guy like Crowder just if we needed a filler for 4,700. A veteran like Flacco, I could see him peppering Crowder, but again, that's more of a floor cash type play too. Where even if you're playing Tua, even I think you could play a guy like Crowder as a run back, just pure volume with Flacco. But I'm off of this game for the most part. Besides Gaskin.
Okay, we'll get to the next game here in just a second, which is another gem here with Houston and Tennessee. Boy, so you're just shitting on my early games. You just hate them. I like Tennessee. I do like some Tennessee. The problem is that Houston's playing in this game. So that to me is the real issue. It's like they're just not sexy on the surface. You look at these, you go to the afternoon, you go, oh, the Bengals and the Raiders. This could be sexy. The Chiefs and the Cowboys, obviously. But the fact that you kind of dug some stuff up with Buffalo and Indianapolis is kind of nice too. But look at the other games, Detroit and Cleveland, San Francisco, Jacksonville. We get San Francisco, Jacksonville. I don't see much happening in New Orleans and Philly. Maybe you guys have a different take on that than me, but those are just some of the things I'm looking at. Like button people would be wonderful. Trying to get to 600. There we go. It took us a couple of minutes, but we got there. We got over 400. 800 are watching, 402 likes. Trying to get 600 today. If we do, then I'm sure some of you are going to be very happy, is all I can say. Okay. You know what? Big T, you're right. There was somebody else in this Houston, Tennessee game you like, and somebody on the Houston side, and they were making fun of me this week on the podcast for Dante Foreman. Huh? Talk to me.
Yeah, my favorite play of the week. I've bookmarked him. I shouldn't have said that because we do our favorite plays at the end of the show.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's all right. I usually tease it better, but I got excited when you started talking about him.
Sure.
I've bookmarked him a couple weeks ago. He was getting some work, looked good. Last week looked pretty good, but hasn't exploded yet. And now you get McNichols out. AP, we all know what AP is these days. He's just not. He's not it. I mean, he's just not. Maybe he'll get some carries or whatever. But Foreman,
I thought you were talking about.
Yeah,
AP
I thought you were talking about AP. Like, wow, you're throwing AP
under the bus. I thought you said Foreman.
I did, but we thought you were talking about AP.
No, we thought you were talking about Runpure Sports AP.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh my God, Tony.
I was like, oh wow.
I don't know what. Now you guys got me sidetracked. I'll give my play at the end of the show again.
You said AP doesn't have it anymore or something. We thought you were talking about.
Like, oh man,
AP plays for the damn Titans. What am I missing?
How about Andrew Peterson?
This is like that Fox News clip the other day where the idiots are going, no, it's this chat.
I'm so confused.
We thought you were talking about AP, like Runpure Sports.
Why would I
AP.
be talking about AP on it?
The way you delivered it, I don't know. We both were thinking.
I'm literally talking about the Titans running backs who have AP, and now you guys got me derailed.
His name is AD.
I can't even play Foreman anymore because I'm so derailed from this conversation.
All right, are we done then? You're not talking about this game now? Are you on boycott?
I'll pick it back up again in the plays of the day.
Okay.
I got to see if I can recoup.
All right. It was. I really thought it was taking a shot.
Did you see what? Yeah, I mean, we were both picking up on that. I thought he was going after Runpure Sports AP. I was like,
I was like, everybody's ripping him for being a homer, but you don't have to be a homer to be on that game today. You know what I'm saying? So good job, AP.
AP's not on. Our AP's not on the Chiefs. No way, right?
No way.
There's no chance.
Now we can talk about that AP when we get. Like if we were talking about the Chiefs game and I started shitting on AP, then you could have gone with that direction.
I don't know. All right. Hoop, why don't you take this? Let's let Big T regroup here. We'll try and come back to him after your thoughts. If it doesn't work, we'll move on to the next one. Hoop.
For me, it's AJ Brown. Great price on FanDuel. 7.2K is just way too cheap for AJ Brown. Coming off the stinker, expect a bounce back. I guess you could even play him on DK. I mean, he obviously more expensive there, but could see AJ Brown having a big game here. So really for me, it's just going to be AJ Brown and the Titans defense. Obviously, you can play the Titans defense at home against the Texans. That's it. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, yeah, in tournaments, the Freeman stuff doesn't. I mean, if you watch the games, like Foreman is their
First
best
you guys
running
are calling AP, now you're calling him the wrong last. I mean, this dude is destined for failure.
Oh, it's either a good thing.
Tony,
Freeman
come on.
now. Oh,
It's either
gosh.
a good thing or a really
You guys
bad.
are hurting my feelings here. This is
Well,
very
Freeman's the
hurtful.
dude for the Ravens, basically like the same name, Devonta and Donta. But Foreman, if you watch the game, he's clearly their most talented running back. So, Big T, would you like to speak to us about your boy Foreman a little bit more?
No.
It's over. Save it for the end.
We ruined it for him.
I mean,
Yeah.
I got to
He's
build
gonna
them.
blame
I had
us?
all the momentum going too, and it's just been derailed.
It's either got to be the best thing for you or most likely the worst thing for you.
Yeah.
Whack them out.
Everybody
we
at
gotta let it
RPS.
build back up.
Yeah. They like to say imagine. Everybody says imagine this, imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine if we ruined Dante Foreman for Big T. Imagine that.
Just imagine.
Oh, I am imagining. It's a sad scene. It's a very sad scene. Yes, this is good mojo, Thomas. This is good mojo. 426 likes, 850. Ooh, we're over half on. I love that, guys. I love that. Hit that like button. No, Brandon, my mojo is great. Everything's good. Everybody understands except for
Geese
Tony.
said
that he was
basically
talking-
the same name. I'm crying.
Right?
Devontae
Devonta?
Freeman and Deontay Foreman.
Yes, like there's not many letters that are different in those names. You're just looking at like a few letter difference. I mean, that's close enough.
Boy. So anyways, this is the Foreman revenge game too, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is.
Oh, there you go. Now
See, you're trying to build me back up now. You're leading it
I'll
in
give
there
you
a little bit.
revenge narrative there, buddy. I always thought this kid was like going to have a really big role there, and then he just kept getting hurt. He's a talented
He kept
kid,
getting in
Tony.
trouble too.
Huh?
Yeah, he got in trouble with a couple things too, some drugs and different things along the way, and he's
human.
ready to recoup.
He's human, but I mean and now he's back there. I liked him at Texas too, like when he was at the University of Texas. But that has nothing to do with this.
Brandon's got it right though. He says Tannehill with 2 rushing touchdowns now. That's happening.
Actually, it'll be AP's gonna get the 2
AP,
rushing touchdowns.
it makes sense.
After
AP's
the whole
getting the rushing
conversation.
touchdowns.
Devontae Freeman's gonna get like a 60-yard down to the 1, and then AP's coming.
Oh,
in.
no.
Pounding it in.
Well, you'll get him in
Runpure Sports. AP's coming out of the stands, and he's going to finish it off, just pounding it.
That must be like AP needs to come on the show and just defend himself against Big T, but there really was no slander there, so he doesn't need to come on.
It was, yeah.
Okay. All right.
We're all over the map.
Yeah, we are all. And again, it's the host's fault. It has nothing to do with you guys.
No, never. It's never.
No, I think it is his fault. I'm
you're a
blaming
professional host. Like you got the transitions down. You got all the lingo.
Yeah.
Me and Big T are the sloppy ones.
All right. Well, I'm willing to take a bullet for you guys though on the sloppiness.
Thank you.
No
Thanks.
problem. You got it. Like button. We need 7,000 now. We got 6 good mojo
Tyler,
today.
Big T just said Devontae Freeman. I said it on purpose. Stop trying to derail us more. I didn't say. Oh, come on.
RPS AP scoring 2 touchdowns from Tambo. Well, Adrian Peterson says he's all day. He's AD. Everyone else calls him
I don't
AP.
call him AD.
I know.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Especially
I can't
not
believe
these days. He's not AD. So
can't believe this guy's still playing. It's just it's remarkable. Okay, we do have.
That's what I
another
don't get
football
about
game.
like a guy like him. Like, how can you not find like some dude out of college that like went undrafted or something to fill in better than AP? I mean, seriously.
Anyone. There has to be someone better.
The best part about that whole thing, Runpure Sports, AP missed out on everything. He was on the toilet. He put it in the chat.
Imagine not watching while you're on the toilet. What does he do
What
while
did
you're
Big
pooping?
T say?
Yeah.
I was pooping.
Who doesn't have their phone while they're pooping?
Good point.
AP, I'm going to tell you this right now. First of all, maybe you deserve the slander because for about 45 minutes this morning of your show, That's exactly where I was listening to it, pal. Okay?
Exactly. Me too.
45?
Well, I mean, it was get up, drink some more coffee, come back down.
Gotcha,
It was a multiple
gotcha.
trip one today. Yeah.
Multiple trip one.
I ate a lot of weird stuff last night. So yeah.
Oh, I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
A multiple trip one.
Kind of feel shamed now, but I don't give a shit. You know what? That's what happened. So anyways, yes, AP, that's no excuse. You're taking a shit. That's no excuse for not.
I don't know what he
listening
was
to the show.
doing, shitting, if he wasn't watching us.
Yeah, what were
And
you
did he have
doing?
his shirt off? Also is an important detail to find out.
Probably not. You know what? I'm on Big T's side now, AP. You are the AP he was talking about.
Yep,
He was not
he
talking about
was.
it.
Let's circle back. I was wrong this whole time.
It was intentional. The intentional, unintentional.
Yeah, AP. Me and Hoop had your back, but I'm totally down on you now. You can't multitask. And you're right. Tony said the right thing. You probably were wearing a shirt when you were pooping this morning. That is
What do you do,
unacceptable.
though? If you don't have your phone, you'd be so bored taking a dump. I mean, what do you do?
Well, get a laptop, put the laptop in there, and use your phone. I mean, it's not that tough, AP. Do you
I've
need
done that.
Yeah, poop multitasking tips. I mean, I'll come up with an RPS video for you. How to prepare when you're literally taking the morning dump.
Yeah. And always take the shirt off to start with.
You know, again, I'll say this. And Hoop, you're shaking your head. I thought it was a silly thing. Then I did it. It's refreshing.
I mean,
Thank you.
It's like, are you 5 years old? Like my kid takes the shirt off when you take it. My kid strips down.
It's
You
about
take
comfort,
everything all the
Hoop.
way.
The one with the tiger head
comfort.
on this morning?
Yeah,
That's
yes,
the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does he wear the hat while he's pooping at least?
Yeah, just the tiger hat.
Okay. Yeah, I knew where that was going in the chat. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. 441. You want more AP poop talk? Get me to 450 and we'll be good. New Orleans and Philadelphia. Hoopage. Come on, man. Miles Sanders is back. So he's going to play today in all likelihood. I don't know if Jordan Howard or Boston Scott's going to be deactivated. Who the hell knows what's going on there? Do we want to go back to Deontay Harris? Devontae Smith too? Devontae Smith has been going bananas the last 2 weeks. And then you got Goddard on one side too. So I guess there are some one-offs here, but are you going there, Hoop?
I mean, one of the worst games, I think, on the entire slate here. Not much on the Eagles side. I mean, Jalen Hurts has kind of lost his luster from a fantasy perspective early on. It was, guaranteeing yourself 25 fantasy points. Just has not been the case lately. They didn't need him last week against Denver. So I'm kind of thinking those early on performances were somewhat fluky. I mean, they included a lot of multiple rushing touchdown games. I mean, it's hard for even a rushing quarterback to score multiple touchdowns on a consistent basis. So just off him, Sanders back obviously complicates things a little bit more. And then these pass catchers, I don't have much interest in them. I haven't all season. I really have not played these Eagles pass catchers. I don't think you need to. The one guy I would have in my player pool, though, is Dallas Goedert. I think he's fine. Cheap 4-4 on DK. On the Saints side, no Kamara. It just makes this offense obviously pretty stagnant. Mark Ingram got there last week, but it's kind of a fluky get there. Like it was not performing well and then just got there with the touchdown. I don't really like him this week. I played him last week. Price has come up. I don't think I'm going to be on Ingram this week. Like I said, he didn't look great. He did get that touchdown at the end to kind of salvage the day, though. So it's a game I'm off. Get Dallas Goedert's probably my favorite player and most likely the only guy really that I'll be playing from this game.
And you will have some Goddard. Okay.
Yeah, I like Goddard,
yeah. Tony, can you make a case for anybody in this game?
Yeah, I like a tight end in this game, and it's not Goddard. It's Mr. Troutman, who the worst team against tight end in football is the Eagles. They've been terrible all year. Troutman's going to be completely unowned, and he's got 6+ targets the last 3 weeks since the Jameis injury. I like using these tight ends like that. 3,300 on DraftKings, nice cheap price, and completely unowned. So these are the plays I like to make in Millie Maker type formats. I'm going to play probably 20% Troutman today.
20% Troutman today. Okay, that's a lot of Troutman.
I really like him. Like I wish I had the stones to play him on my main team because I think the matchup is the nut. And everyone's going to play these for good reason. I love Kittle. I love Kelsey. I love Schultz. A bunch of these guys are good plays.
Turtles.
So no one's going to play Troutman. And maybe I should shift my rule and not limit it to one tight end, because I do like tight end today. Lots of good tight ends. So maybe I'll shift that rule. Because Troutman, I mean, 3,300.
Yeah.
You just don't need that much. I mean, if he's getting 6+ targets and he hasn't got in the box yet, if he gets in the box, I mean, he's going to crush.
That's, you know what? That's a very interesting. I forgot when we were on that shitty Miami game. Like, if you want a deep sleeper, maybe this is more of a bet than a play, as Adam Shaheen. The dude's been targeted 3 times in the red zone last week. And that's a disgusting play. Like, that's a hold your nose, disgusting. 150. The guy's 2.5. My boy Bates is up there at 2.5 or down there at 2.5 too. But I could see a nice 2 catch for 22 yards and a touchdown from Shaheen. But your play actually makes sense, like to throw him in a tournament with Troutman. Okay, I like it. Hoop. Did you have a chance to think this over and really want to go to a different game? Yes, you did. Washington and Carolina is the time. Here's my other guy, Bates, right? You're not playing John Bates, are you?
Who?
Yeah. 2.5. He's going to be the tight end for Ricky
I legitimately
Seals-Jones.
don't know who he is.
Yeah, who are you talking to?
He's the
All right,
backup
so
for
last
Seals
week-
Jones or what?
Yeah, last week I had the over, I think 4.5 catches on Ricky Seals-Jones. Ricky Seals-Jones gets hurt early in the second quarter. Bates comes in, makes 3 catches.
Yeah, I see that now. Actually, yeah. I mean, that's crazy because he really isn't showing up anywhere. That's
he shouldn't be showing up anywhere.
I like cheap tight end, but with Seals Jones, you'd assume he'd pop up somewhere.
No, Seals-Jones is hurt.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, with him
Seals
hurt.
Jones. Yeah.
And then,
2.5K.
then my guys in DC, they're like, he could have a 5-catch game. I said, he could at 2.5K.
Yeah, I actually like that call. I mean, if you're building a lot of teams, I mean, going all the way down, I mean, there's a couple of cheap tight ends that people will play, but going all the way down could make your lineups a little different. I don't hate that at all.
The only time I like it, I think, is in 2 tight. People won't say this often, but is in 2 tight end builds, because a couple of these top tight ends are going to go off, and so like treat it as a punt. Treat it as almost like a punt receiver, where you don't need the same ceiling if you got another tight end. Like if you play Kelsey and he gets 25, and you play what's this dude's name, Bates?
Yeah,
Bates.
You play Bates and he gets you 10, you're still huge because he's your punt. He's like your punt receiver. 2,500.
Yeah. So
2,500 never kills you though, like ever. Even if he gets 0, it's not going to be the reason you lose this week.
See, again, that's the conversations I keep having. It's like, you're going to get a 0 at a 2.5. Okay,
not going to kill you. You might not ship with it, but it's not going to kill you.
Yeah, you're still going to get if it's going to allow you to get the guys that you need to at 2.5. Yeah. I don't know. Listen, I'm not sitting here saying lock button, this is the play of the day, but I do have some Bates.
Like it.
I do have a little bit of Bates at 2.
The only issue I have this week with the like super punts is we just have so many cheap plays that.
Great point too. So
hard, but it makes sense though.
Yeah. So again, he's at least going to get some run, some salary saver, and Hoop. Maybe could it be more of a cash game play? Just because you're taking that 2.5,
I'd say more, like single entry type stuff where it's easier to absorb like the zeros in single entry formats and smaller field things for sure. The big field stuff, if he goes out there and gets you 0, you're most likely not shipping the Millie Maker this week unless he's like exactly.
All right.
Sorry to tell you though, there's a question in the chat. Brandon McNair tagged me. He's like, it's 10:30 and we still have been deprived from Carpet Gate Part 4. Apparently didn't hear the beginning of the show. Without pissing off Holden and maybe Big T. Big T's kind of on the verge of getting annoyed with this shit too. But they sent out a new crew this week. Carpet was laid. Beyond thrilled. I'm thrilled. The wife's thrilled. It's all that matters.
Has carpet been laid on the new carpet is the better question.
Hopefully after I ship tonight, then I'll break in. Front, nice padding too. I don't even think you'd need like a comforter or anything. You just get right in there and go to work. I mean, it's nice and soft and
Are you
cozy.
done yet? Are you done with this?
Big T was just asking some carpet questions. So.
Are you done with the story yet? Can we come back, please?
You definitely use that thing for,
Oh, yeah.
The face mask opens up. Yep, yep.
Yeah. Usually I'm not the one wearing it, though.
Where in the world did you just get that thing from?
Have you never like worn an astronaut suit?
On the bench or
just anywhere,
whenever?
just for fun?
I've worn it on the bench, but nowhere else.
Have you really? Have you? Please tell me about this. I'd love to hear the story, Tony.
Just the hat, though, not the full suit.
Just the hat. Tang is great too.
Let me take you to space.
Yeah. Are you done with your story yet, Hoop, or do I need to put the fucking helmet back on?
It's a very simple, like 2-sentence response to the question in chat. Washington, Carolina game. Man,
no, I don't want to go back to that game. I want you to seriously put the carpet thing in a coffin and get it all out now. Get it all out now.
I'm trying to think. So last week we buried 2 guys and they scored 2 touchdowns. So how can this apply to my carpet story? Let me think here.
All right, let's go to the game then. Hit the like button if you're laughing right now. I think it's funny. All right, so Washington, Carolina. What do you got for us here?
Yeah, I had some interest in Cam Newton. I still do, I guess I should say, at 5.1K.
Oh.
The coach talk is a little concerning.
I want to go back to the carpet story. I'm voting for carpet story. We're going to Cam. I got to go back to the carpet story.
Cam. I mean, it's an easy argument. It's 5.1K. If he scores a rushing touchdown, you're free rolling the rest of the game. Can he score a rushing touchdown? I mean, he's about, I think, even money to score that rushing touchdown. I'm going to pull that up, though, right now just to verify. But fairly certain he's about even money to score a touchdown. If he gets that touchdown, you're free rolling. The thing that scares me, though, they said that they're going to be working in P.J. Walker, too. So I'm probably
yeah, well, that's what I'm going to say. Why? I don't understand why people, like, why are we free rolling if we get 1 touchdown?
Because he's going to – I mean, that's going to end up being like 7 fantasy points, and all he needs is like 15-ish. And the average quarterback can go out there and get you 8 fantasy points the rest of the way.
15, again, what are you going to do with 15? I'm going to be like Crane here, our boy Crane.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with 15?
Yeah, Mr. 38.9X. Maybe again, though, maybe more of a cash game play where you're just hoping to get 15 from a really cheap quarterback. Probably not for tournaments.
I do think he gets 15. That's probably going to be his exact stat line. 1 rushing touchdown, like maybe 1 or 2 picks, like 140 yards, like 14 fantasy points.
He's plus 120 to score. So, I mean, close to even money. Probably more like 2 of those. Probably more like cash game type play where you're able to get other things if you go cheap at quarterback. Christian McCaffrey back to his normal role and just too cheap at 8.9K on DK. Really strong play there. The way he plays, it's obviously he's always going to be a better DK play than FanDuel play. Just have way more outs with all the receiving upside. So like him. Wide receivers, though, I'm not messing with any of them. Even Robbie. The best part about Robbie Anderson is he finally gets there last week and just not even, close to being like on any sort of winning teams. Jacoby Myers saying they had like the identical stat line after we buried them, 4 for 30 some yards and a touchdown. I'm not going there. On the Washington side, besides that Bates guy, I would definitely have interest in Bates in the full 150 if you're MMEing. But outside of that, I'm not playing anyone. I mean, Panthers defense, I think, is a fine option here at home as well. But McCaffrey, I think, is phenomenal DK play.
Tony, what do you want to do here? Washington, Carolina.
Yeah, McCaffrey for sure. And the thing about optimizers, we always talk about this, but if you run the optimizers, it's not going to give you McCaffrey because of how good of plays these cheap running backs are. Yeah. There's 7, 8 cheap running backs this week that are projected very, very good. So if you run an optimizer, I mean, I'm not saying McCaffrey's going to be unowned either. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you run an optimizer to build your teams, you're not going to get them without rules to get him in there. And like I could project him even at like 27 or something. He's still not going to hit builds with the way these running backs. I mean, you got all these 5K, 6K guys projected for 20 almost. It's very hard for McCaffrey to hit an optimizer, which makes him one of the best plays of the week for me. I mean, the volume last week was just off the charts. I mean, what did he get? He got 13 carries, 10 targets, caught all 10 like always. 26 fantasy points without scoring a touchdown. There just isn't other players outside of Devontae Adams and maybe one or two others that can get close to that without scoring. If he somehow scores once or twice, we talked about free rolling with Cam if he scores. If McCaffrey scores, you're off and running. I mean, he's one of the few guys that could get you 40 or 50. These other running backs are good. They're great. I'm going to play a ton of them. Jeff Wilson, all these guys. They'll get you 20, 25 maybe if they crowd. They're not getting you 40 or 50 most times. McCaffrey's got that extra boost, so I'm going to try to get as much of him as I can get.
So let me ask you this. Let's say $500 doesn't matter on DK, and you could shove Adams in or McCaffrey.
Yeah, I'm playing McCaffrey over Adams for sure, if I can choose.
Hoop, if you had to choose.
Same. He has that next level, like Big T said. He has that next boost. I like that word. He has that boost to get him like even above those top scorers. I mean, you play guys like Devontae and Tyreek, like the realistic ceiling's probably like 30 or something. You know, if they have their big game, they're going to get in 30s. Like McCaffrey can get you to like that 40 fantasy point range. And I mean, honestly, it's crazy to say it doesn't even take that much. Like a touchdown or multiple touchdowns, and boom, like it's a massive score.
Washington's beat up too. The dude, I always forget his name. Chase Young, is that his name?
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, he's out. I mean, so they're banged up too. Could be a very, very peak McCaffrey spot today. Just don't get hurt today, McCaffrey. Don't get hurt on me.
Were you out here when he was in high school?
You're doing this. I mean, you said don't get hurt. Like, remember we buried Holden for the Stafford thing? Now you're saying McCaffrey don't get hurt?
It's called rooting. I was rooting him on.
Oh, God. Why would you even say that? I mean, we buried Holden for saying
it's
that
a
about
given with him.
Stafford.
He goes to the damn 10th every weekend. I got to encourage him.
Rams Hoop might be taking a victory lap when this is all said and done about the Stafford thing. I mean, the Rams may have been better off with that injury.
Oh, God.
They're learning, man. It's Matthew Stafford. People, it was hot to start. I'm telling you, man, there's the Rams fans should be concerned. They're starting to see the real Stafford.
Oh, God.
What?
I mean, listen, you're biased.
I want everyone to come and say, you know what? At the end of the year when it happens, they're going to say, you know what, Hoop, you're right. And I'm like so invested. Maybe it's like short-sighted. I'm just so invested on the Rams' futures.
I will buy you 8 square feet of carpet that you have right now, just so when your kid ruins it or a dog pisses on it, you could have it again. If Stafford folds, you will get it in the mail. And I'll even get the padding that they screwed you on.
Yeah. Do you want me to go down this path and update you on the padding?
Just offering.
See, at least, hey, I'm actually happy you said that because it proves you actually listened to the story.
No, I listened to the story.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. I appreciate that.
I was going to completely leave the show until I ran into the astronaut helmet. So, you know, that got me back in.
Was it just like sitting over there?
Yeah.
Tony, why do you ask questions that you don't want answers to?
I want the answers. That's why I want that answer.
It was laying out there. It was laying out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was out there holding when McCaffrey was in high school. Yeah, my high school coach coached at Pomona, and they played in the state championship against McCaffrey and his brothers.
It was right here, right where I live.
Yeah, Valor's where all the McCaffreys went.
Yeah, and then again, I saw a guy on King Supers out here. That's the what is that, grocery store? Dude's wearing a Christian McCaffrey high school jersey. I'm going, that's a little much, bro.
That's extreme for sure.
Unless
it's like his dad or mom.
It was his uncle. It definitely wasn't Ed.
Or his uncle. It had to. If it wasn't a family member, then there's something wrong with that.
That's true, because his uncle lived out. His dad.
I mean, they got a big family all out there.
All right, so maybe it wasn't McCaffrey. I did give him a bad look.
Yeah. Rams fans should be concerned. Long story short, like the Stafford of old is starting to appear. That's all.
Did you see what Hoop did there? Big T, he did exactly what I did to him.
You guys are talking about,
we were talking about a fun story, and then Hoop did it.
Cares about that story. There's like no energy. There's like no energy behind that story. No momentum.
Fucking dude, you should have seen this. I was in the pudding aisle, and this dude in a McCaffrey jersey comes up, and I gave him a bad look. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna shank you.
This is awful. If you're like, I'm gonna pull Holden. This story sucks. Whatever you guys are just talking about, I didn't listen to any of it, but man, it was a shitty story.
Hoop is the legend. Bad out Hoop. Thank you.
That was a bad story. Wherever you guys were going with that one, you needed me to bail you out.
You were waiting. You were just waiting to get me back, and you did. Where are we likewise? 468. Let's try to get to 500 before we get to the 4:00 games. Let's do it. Come on, guys. We're having fun. We're making you laugh. We're giving you winners. Got about 900 watching, 469. Let's try and get to 500 here before we get to the 4:00 games, which is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 more. So you guys can do it. I know it. And let me tell you what's going on here at RPS, Runpure Sports, RPS Heater, 25% off your first payment of a monthly installment. And Tony, I always like bringing it up with you here. Get bets, man. Just if you want to, just bypass the other one. Type in get bets. You get both sites, the sports and the bet site. And you also get the Showdown stuff, which has been, really successful. But the bet side, rocking it too.
Yeah, the bet side's crushing. And this is the time of year to sign up because you get everything that you're talking about, all the bet side, all the sports. Yesterday, 19 different sports. Again, it feels like on Saturdays. You just get so much bang for your buck. And, yeah, no reason not to sign up.
Ravens, non-COVID virus going through there. Bateman had it. Lamar Jackson has it. And then one of the other guys that covers the team says that Tyler Huntley is going to start if Lamar Jackson can't. And his guy is, and James Prochet is going to be playing the role of Marquise Brown. That's some digging right there. That's if you're going James
sounds like
Prochet,
a good time to load up the old Bears defense, Mr. Holden.
Just play Chicago.
Just gonna throw it out there.
So who has more raw points today? Cleveland's defense or the Bears defense?
If Lamar is out, the Bears defense becomes the best defensive play on the board for sure.
Hoop, are you there with that? If Lamar's out?
Lamar, man, it's
and Marquise Brown's out too. Don't forget
about
Marquise is out. Yeah, it's super you'd have to say very comparable spots. But one's more expensive. The Browns are a little more. They have Tim Boyle and whatever the hell the Lions are wrong. I guess they still have Swift. Yeah, it's probably pretty comparable spots, but one's $600 cheaper.
And one's going to be the chalkiest by far, and people aren't going to get on the Bears.
Yeah,
they will, but they won't as much.
You like Montgomery today, right? We kind of went off the script here, but
see, so on FanDuel, this might be where I like the Bears even more. They're 3.5K.
Oh yeah.
The Browns are 5K. So you're talking about a $1,500 difference.
3,500 is huge on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's a really good. That's a really good spot.
I'm always tempted on FanDuel just because of what it does to literally punt defense. Like there's always that 3K, like literally just put them in. And if I get 0, because you can sometimes get up to a whole extra stud by doing it.
Yeah. And the thing is, in Chicago, in Chicago is already a tough spot to play. It's just not an easy stadium to play in for road teams. So yeah, strong play.
A couple bits of news. If you're interested in James Robinson, he's active. Elijah Mitchell is officially out. So we'll definitely get to Elijah Mitchell's backup as well. There's no question about that. And let's move on to our next game, boys.
You can still right now. How likely is it that Lamar sits? Do you think it's pretty likely, you guys?
Let's say it's 50-50.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I know what you're going to say about the spread. Just because,
sitting there at 4.5, I'm tempted just to.
I don't think it's dead, even if he plays.
Exactly.
Obviously, you're in. The thing is, if he gets ruled in, it'll probably go up a little. If he gets ruled out, it'll probably go down a little. But man, if he doesn't play, that 4.5 or 5 looks like an absolute gift.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's so much value on here. Now we're just finding deep sleepers. So I would just say you got your cores up there, your player pools, guys and ladies, stick to them, but we'll try and throw some names out there that might get you a little bit different. Let me see here. Oh, so we've got Roethlisberger. We don't care. He's not on the slate. Okay. So Detroit, Cleveland. We're done with this. Yes. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Can I just throw in Njoku out there too? I got a whole bunch of shitty tight ends today. No, I don't want to play Njoku. Let's just move on. San Francisco, Jacksonville. Big T, I like a lot going on here from the San Francisco side. You got a little Jimmy G. Nobody ever talks about him. I don't know if the ceiling is there, but You know, he's had a 27, a 20, and a 15 piece last 3 weeks. You look at the running back, Jeff Wilson, who I was mildly concerned, maybe not as much in the pass catching. And then I did some more digging. He's going to be fine with that. Debo's always a huge play. Kittle is a top shelf play today. I don't know if you were running it back with anybody. I got 6 lineups. One of them's got a whole bunch of 49ers in it. What do you think, Big T?
Yeah, I mean, San Fran's one of my favorite teams at SP. I got the San Fran on right now, actually. That could be a good sign.
Why don't you
But,
go put the jersey on for us? Get your Kittle jersey.
I mean,
You haven't been wearing jerseys. I kind of feel bad. I mean, I used to always make funny about wearing the jerseys. You haven't been a jersey guy lately.
I
You
know
growing-
I
growing
haven't.
out of
Well, I
them?
haven't got a new one in a while. I need to get a new one from somebody. I think it's just that I haven't shipped in like a year and a half, so I need to ship something to get the jersey back out. If I ship
Okay.
today, I'll buy a damn jersey. I haven't had to buy one in a little bit of time here.
Yeah.
But I love San Fran. The best part about San Fran is we say this, but all the usage I think goes through 3 guys: Wilson, Debo, Kittle. And I love all 3 of them. They're all 3 great plays to me. All 3 studs, all 3 priced good. And if I like all 3 of them, why am I not at least considering Jimmy G? So I'm going to play a little Jimmy G against Jack. I would never play Jimmy G. Jacksonville is a good spot, though. If Jacksonville can score some points, which I'm not saying I'm sure they can, they might not. But if they can score some points, this game has sneaky shootout potential too. And I love when I can get the whole offense through 3 guys. And the run back is a little harder for me with Jacksonville. I don't see much there. Marvin Jones, Agnew, Dan Arnold, maybe.
James
one
Robinson?
back.
I mean, I know
Who?
he's not 100%. He's always.
I'm definitely not playing James Robinson.
No? Okay.
Oh, everybody's sending these tweets. Old Tiger's back on the course. I mean, everyone wants Tiger back out there.
Yeah, that'd be exciting. Get him back
Sometime this year. Yeah, he's out there
Swing
hitting
looks
some balls.
decent. I mean, I'm sure he's still not close to healthy, but swing looks decent. If he can be back by next year, middle of next year, it'd be sweet.
Hoop. We were talking about San Francisco, Jacksonville. What do you got here?
You just transition off my Tiger
I'm
talk.
looking-
Well, Hoop had
I'm
nothing
looking
to
at
say.
Tiger Swing, man. We're gonna do a Tiger Swing.
Swing break.
All right, let's talk about Hoop. Let's talk about Tiger Swing for
Oh,
a
that's
minute.
fine. 49ers. I agree with what Tony said. Like these pieces, Debo and Kittle. I mean, contingent on whether or not Jacksonville can score some points. They're at home. It's less than touchdown underdog. I think they're able to move the ball a little bit. The obvious concern here is if the 49ers get a lead, and we saw what they want to do. This team wants to just absolutely pound the football. Can they do it today with their running back situation? Not like they did last week against the Rams, right? Where they just pounded them. With Jeff Wilson really as their only running back, I don't think they can do that this week. So I like Debo, I like Kittle, and I think these are 2 pieces that come in much lower owned than the other people in their price range. Like Debo's at a price where everyone's just going to go straight up to Tyreek or Devontae Adams. He'll be low owned. Kittle is in a range where people will just go to Travis Kelce. So I think you have a chance to get 2 lower owned guys that just have the potential to go off. And like Big T said, it's a condensed offense. It really is. Now, this isn't a situation like we've seen in the past, like the Steelers situation where it's all Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. Like they're going to keep going. They're going to keep passing the ball, whether they're up 3 touchdowns or whatever. This team, if they're up a lot, they will go to the run. They'll find a way to burn out this clock. So the concern here is, can Jacksonville score points? If they can score points, Debo and Kittle have a chance to really take off. If their offense really, really struggles, I don't think there's a ton of upside, but great tournament plays overall, hoping that Jacksonville scores a few points here.
We stroke Hoop for a second here because we got
You always stroke Hoop anyways.
I got to give. Hold on. How many 6K hits do you have now this year?
Oh,
He goes,
I mean, I don't know exactly. I mean, mostly on Showdown slates, but yeah.
I mean, that's a bad thing that they're on Showdown slates.
No, I'm just saying. Yeah, I mean, I've had some big hits this year.
I mean,
fortunate.
Where's the
not
Hoop?
Not as many as Big T though.
Hoop should be on his back. We need a camera, and you should be doing snow angels on your carpet. And we talk about how this guy has a dozen 6-figure hits. You should have your own.
That's Big T. Big T fills that role at Runpure Sports. Hoops
Some people call me the Joe Dumars of
Hoops. A background guy. I'm just a background guy.
Okay, you're just a background guy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. Tony, you want to chime in on this game or what?
This game, I already talked about this game.
Well, how about this next game then?
I think Jeff Wilson. So I want to ask Coop about Jeff Wilson though on FanDuel. Like, how in the world does anyone fade him on FanDuel? Is he going to be 100% owned?
Should be. I mean, it's a free split. 5K. Yeah, and his game obviously suits FanDuel scoring a little bit better. He's only 5K. I mean, it's just. I can't imagine.
Even like when you're talking leverage, I don't know how you can get off him unless you just think. I mean, unless you're just totally game theorying it. I mean,
well, I mean,
unless he gets injured or something, like there's no way he doesn't get there versus Jacksonville.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to hope that
your guys
3 other running backs just go off. He gets like 15, and then there's like 3 running backs that get like 25 or something. Like, and you need those other 3 running backs. But then the problem lies like what the 5K does for the rest of your lineup, like what you're able to do by just plugging him in. And man, these teams look tasty.
I mean, if you guaranteed full workload, which I think he gets, and you actually priced it, I mean, he would be 8K.
Yes.
You're getting him for 5K.
3K, free 3K to go spend. I mean, okay, so you look at what the 3K does. I mean, it's very clear. So, you got Michael Gallup, who's a good value play, 5.4K. Well, you can take 3K and go from Gallup all the way up to Devontae Adams. So you can go from a value wide receiver all the way up to like the top wide receiver. So you're getting a free 3K.
Think about that difference too. Like Gallup's more expensive than I love Gallup today, but I don't love him more than Jeff Wilson. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Yep.
There's some video of Lamar Jackson walk. He runs so fast, but then it looks like he's clenching his butt cheeks today. I don't know if it's a stomach thing, but he definitely is not walking normally.
He always walks like that.
He does? Even when he's healthy?
He's always pinching. I mean, you didn't see all those clips where he's pinching?
He's definitely pinching here.
That is you got to see that video clip. He looks like he's got a turn. Why is he going through like the regular?
He's like going through. Somebody looks like he's got like a Miles Boykin Rockies jersey on too. It's very odd. Yeah, he does look like he needs to poop or he's holding something in.
He's got something going on.
He is sick, so he probably does have to poop. What are you talking about?
Well, how's he going to play? He's going to have to leave like he did that one game?
I don't think he is going to play. I don't know.
Wow, then that Bateman's dead then. Then Bateman's dead. We don't play Bateman, do we? If he's out?
No, hell no.
Tyler Snoop Huntley? I mean, are you kidding me here? So we'll see. Poor Lamar though, man.
What is this clip too? Rory ripped his Nike shirt. He was so mad he didn't close it out yesterday. There's some good stuff going on Twitter here today.
Surprise. Rory not being able to finish. Rory sucks.
His Nike shirt is just ripped though. Who rips their polo after the? Oh, imagine if Bryson did that. Like everyone would just crush him.
Rory gets literally the free pass on everything related to. I mean, the free pass. He can't finish. He sucks. He underachieves constantly. Free pass. They give him the free pass. All these other guys, they just pound. They pound Bryson for every little move that he makes. Rory, free pass.
All right, boys and girls, like button. We got, how many? I said we need 500 likes before we get to the 400 games and 4 o'clock games. And we only got 2 games left. Let's go. Come on. This has been fun stuff. We're all having a blast today. Hoop's doing his thing. Tony's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. Lamar Jackson's clenching his butt cheeks. I mean, how can you not just love this show right now? Let's go to the Green Bay, Minnesota game, guys. I mean, Rodgers just loves playing the Vikings. He's got a 7-to-1 touchdown interception ratio against them. He's played since 2008. He's always played well against these Zimmer teams. The Vikings have won some of those games, though. Patrick Peterson's coming back. Harrison Smith is coming back, too. So a nice little boost here for the Vikings. Tony, do you want to do anything on the Green Bay or the Minnesota side? Because, listen, we obviously got Dillon, we got Cook, we got Adams. There's some juiciness here.
Yeah, I mean, A.J. Dillon is my number 1 guy in this game, but everyone likes him. He's going to get the full workload, obviously, with Aaron Jones out. I was higher on Devontae to start the week, but once you start building teams, you got to decide. I mean, Tyreek, Diggs, McCaffrey, all these guys up in that price range, you just can't play them all. I know we say this every show, but it's the truth. You got to take some stands. I like Devontae okay. I just don't know if I want to play him over those other guys. I mean, it kind of does come down. A lot of my builds, the last piece is like a McCaffrey, Adams, Diggs in that range. And it depends on the construction, but Adams just kind of finds his way out for me. So I don't know how much I'll have of him, even though I like him. And if I like A.J. Dillon a lot, obviously that's not great for Devontae. So, like, I wouldn't make too many teams, if any, that had both of those guys on it because I don't really see how it goes both directions. Somewhat low total for these two teams, too, which is concerning. I know Green Bay, I think, is going to want to play slow. Rodgers is hurt. They want to get out of here with a W and play slow. I don't know. I could see them handing off to A.J. Dillon a ton today. So I'll go with him and fade Devontae.
Okay. Hoop, what are the plays and the fades here? Is Dillon just an auto lock?
Yeah, pretty much in lockstep with Big T on this one. If you're, AJ Dillon, I think is a lock, and I think they feed him, and he's a beast, man. You just watch that. He's one of those running backs. Like he's quick, fast, and he runs over dudes. Like it's exactly what you want in a running back. Way too cheap for this situation. Fully agree with Tony on Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is great play, awesome play. Don't get me wrong. But if deciding between Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, I'm going with Tyreek this week. This game does scare me a little. Doesn't scare me, but a lot of times we see these games, and like if I was going to say, all right, Packers, Vikings, total in this game is going to be 52 or 53. Well, it's like 4 or 5 points lower than I envisioned in my head. So there's some concern there. I mean, the problem is the other pieces for the Packers are just rough. Man. They just does not have the guys to go to. So if they can get out, we saw it last week. They were able to get out of that game with a nasty win, and they just took it. Seattle could not do anything. They got an ugly, grinded out type win. They're happy to do that. In the past, the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, they're not doing that. They're going to continue to rack up these points. I think they're willing to take some of these ugly wins along the way, and this could potentially be it. And with their defense playing so well too, somewhat concerning. But Devontae Adams is clearly a great play. If you can get him in there, do it. But if you're deciding between Adams and some of these other top wide receivers, I think I prefer the other top wide receivers. Then on the Vikings side, Justin Jefferson every week in tournaments. Like if you're MMEing, like this guy should be in your player pool every week, and this week is no different. He's an absolute stud. Not playing anyone else though on the Viking side.
Okay. Let's hit the like button. We got one more 1 o'clock. We hit 500. You guys are awesome today. Thank you very much. So we got 99 to go to hit 600. We got 967 watching. So we got a great crowd today too. Good to see everybody in here. Appreciate it. Throw some comments in the chat as long as they're nice and respectful, I suppose. And then let's get to our last game here in the 1 o'clock.
No way that was actually Lamar walking in. I just seen that walk.
Oh, you finally seen it? Doesn't he look like he needs to?
Why is he walking like that?
That's a poop walk. It is him, right?
That's the poop walk.
Why is he walking like that, though?
Isn't that weird?
Is it already out? Is it already in his pants?
I think so.
It could, yeah. It could be walking, just hoping it stays in the undies and doesn't drip down the line.
Why would you wear whitewashed jeans if you have stomach problems, though? If I'm getting to the bottom of this, I don't think
the way
you
he's
would wear
walking,
that color.
though, it doesn't look like it. I mean, maybe he's actually hurt. Like maybe they're just saying he's sick or something, because like that's not like a normal walk.
No, that was a horrible walk.
I think he might just have had some loose remembrance in there, and he didn't want them coming loose. I think we're on to it.
That was a cautious walk, like very cautious. Like you got something going on for sure.
Well, then then he should not be wearing that color jeans.
Long story short, bet the Bears. Let's load up.
Just bet the Bears today.
Bears are going to make us rich.
Even if he plays, I don't think we're screwed. But if he's
still
out,
alive,
that line has to move like 6 points once he gets rolled out. It has to.
Wouldn't you rather look at the total?
It just moved a half a point.
No, I'd rather bet the Bears money line.
Man, this is going to be ugly. This is going to be some ugly shit, is all we can say, right? Yeah.
I put a little on the Bears. I put a little sprinkle on the Bears.
Did you? I'm going to sprinkle in the Bears too. All right.
I mean, if he's out, it moves 6 points, right? The Bears are favored by 2 or 3.
6?
Probably. Tony's better at that shit than I am.
I
Right?
I wouldn't be if he gets officially ruled out. I bet the Bears close the favorite.
Yeah.
Or I mean, less than 3 either way. It doesn't matter. So
yeah.
It might be it might be a little same game parlay thing, Hoop. I know we're talking about betting here, and this is DFS, but I kind of don't mind a little under action on that one as well if he's not in there, right?
I don't know. That video was not
Very encouraging, regardless of outcome.
and
you're not dead though either. Chicago's a hard place to play, and you're
over the field goal number. You're getting 4.
No, it's not dead.
He did not. He does.
That line's
going
to move. People better bet that now.
All right.
If they somehow rule him in, then you got kind of the worst of it, probably. But
yeah, but then he probably doesn't even look like he's feeling good either.
I think he can win either way. Like I don't. If he plays, I don't love the Bears, but I don't think you're dead either. I think they could easily still cover.
Yeah.
But if he's out, you're not getting that price once they rule him out. So you better bet it now if you're betting it.
Yeah, we got a lot of. There's a lot of comments on the poop thing here. Some people are Wiggs thinks he might have IBS. You know, that's kind of it. He's deaf. Fresh dollar bill thinks he's holding his load. Hoop, don't let Lamar in your basement, says Hammer.
Yeah.
Lamar Poop Walker. Come on.
Carpet would not be a great combination.
Yeah, it's not looking good. It's not a nice walk. Unless he's doing the okie-doke, the rope-a-dope, but I don't think he is, man. That did not look very healthy. Here, we got another angle of this. Oh yeah, that's bad. Yeah, that's the poop walk, guys. All right, go to Huntley. Maybe he'll run for 100 yards today. Maybe that's because don't forget the Bears. Their whole pass rush is dead now, and Khalil Mack is out. They've got injuries on the defensive line. That's just disgusting. That whole thing is disgusting. I don't know. I kind of like the total under too. Let's go back. We'll go to Baltimore, Chicago. We were kind of on this game already. So this was the game we were going to talk about, Tony. Andrews, here, with Lamar, without Lamar, the Ravens side. What is it for you?
Yeah, I'm not playing Ravens.
Okay. Chicago side, Montgomery.
Yeah, I like Montgomery. Him? I like Montgomery and the Bears D, and I like it way more once we hear if Lamar's out. Once he's out, I think Montgomery Bears D is one of the best stacks on the board.
Montgomery Bears D is the best stacks on the board. Okay.
One of them, yeah. I think it's right there. It would be in contention for me to rearrange my core to put that combo in my core.
Wow. Big.
What do you think about that, Hoop?
That's a big statement. That's a big statement.
Yeah. Would you do that, Hoop?
I mean, in tournaments, I think it makes sense. But I mean, to Tony to switch it to core, I mean, that's a big statement. Like I said, I'll just leave it at that. Big statement.
I'm just saying this. Now we're down to 4.5 on that line. Went from 5.5 to 4.5 pretty quickly. DK everybody's seeing the poop walker.
DK has it at 4 now.
Yeah, I mean,
now it's down to 4. Oh boy. Yeah. Yep. I don't know who called him poop walker, but you're right, dude. That was Lamar Poop Walker. Hoop, anything else we could do just to react to this thing here? Montgomery.
Another part that's weird about that video is a lot of times when you get the top players walking through, it's like a tunnel by themselves. Like he's going, it seemed like going through like general security to get in. Maybe he's going to like a secret bathroom. Like he couldn't go through the full tunnel. They had to just get him into like the regular. You imagine pulling up to the game, like, I got to take a piss before the game, and Lamar's in the stall next to you, just dropping a massive shit, just pulling up the bathroom.
Yeah, him versus
AP.
You
see his jersey sitting over the top because he took his shirt off.
Pads hanging on the outside.
You know what the difference between him and AP is? Lamar would actually be watching our show on the can. AP does not watch our show on the can.
Yeah, that's telling.
That's what Lamar's doing right now. He's like, these dudes making fun of me. Forget it. I'm going to go out and play today. No way the Bears are winning this on the money line. You're dead. Bateman's going to go bananas. So, again, that's
AP wasn't watching our show because he knows he's just playing Chiefs, so he doesn't need to watch any other show. Doesn't need any info.
Screw it. Screw it. All right, let's go to the afternoon games, guys. And I kind of feel like the big pivot for a game stack to that Dallas KC game would be Cincinnati and Vegas. So where are you on this one? Here, Big T, you got a Vegas team. Their defensive coordinator is such a dumbass that they decided to run cover 3 last week against the Chiefs. They're going to do the same thing against Burrow and Jamar Chase this week. So Uzama could be in play too. Higgins is in play. I think everybody on the Cincinnati side. I love Mixon. Mixon's in play. And on the Vegas side, you can go to Waller. Brian Edwards is my guy. Renfro's obviously going to be there. Maybe Drake or Jacobs. There's a lot to like here, Tony. A lot to like.
Yeah, I mean, you shit on all the games I liked in the early one, and I don't like this game.
You're going to shit on this one. Let's go.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
I think
the
Raiders suck. Like, I think the Raiders are horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Bengals will dominate this game. I'm not sure if they're going to hit ceilings. Like, I like T. Higgins the most, 5,400, great price point, nice floor. I like the floors on all the Bengals. Like, I think they're good plays. I just don't know if they're better plays. And like always, I want to take some stands. I just don't know if I see ceilings from these guys without the Raiders doing some scoring. And I think the Raiders could seriously quit. I mean, they were so bad. All the Gruden, all the Ruggs news, they were terrible in prime time. I think they could just tank, and I think the Bengals might just pound this team. And I gave it on the Prep Factory. I said it was my lock of the season, Bengals to win this game. And the line is just wrong. The Bengals aren't losing this game. And fantasy-wise, though, I don't think I'm going to have much because I don't really see this game as a shootout.
So I'm betting this game now. I'm betting.
I mean, if you trust my play,
I do trust your play.
I appreciate that confidence.
I play your plays.
Yeah,
I joined it.
I don't see how the only way the Bengals lose this game is if they're just actually not good, which I don't believe. I think they're a good team.
What'd you
they
get
sucked the last 2 weeks, but I think I can't see them losing to the Raiders. I just can't.
Yeah.
Would you get them at 1.5, or did you get a better line?
1.5.
Is that what you got them at, Tony, or did you get them earlier in the week?
I bet them when we were doing the Print Factory. I think I did get 1.5 though.
That's what it's sitting at right now then.
Yeah, I think I did. I can't remember.
Okay. Well, I can't remember a lot of things, so I'm right there with you, buddy.
It doesn't matter what it is anyways. They're going to roll for us.
Yeah,
I agree. That's a good call.
Okay. All right. Well, there's another bet for us. You heard it. Tony's got it. Thank God that Nuggets bet cashed for me the other night too, dude. I was sweating that out. Freaking Bulls. Thank God.
Yeah, you were. That was an easy victory.
Yeah, but I was still sweating it out. It wasn't fun. Hoop, let's go to this one.
Like 8 or something. 10.
5. 5.
5. Yeah.
Yeah. It was 5. Hey, Hoop, are you with Tony on this Cincinnati Raiders game, or are you with me, or are you somewhere where you're just ambivalent?
Somewhere in the middle. Like I like the game a little bit more than Big T does from a fantasy perspective. These pass catchers, Jamar Chase, I think another guy, he's similar to like Justin Jefferson for me. Never going to be super highly owned. Just put him in your MME player pool. Massive upside like we've seen. DK continues to price T. Higgins like a cheap value scrub at 5.4K. I think he should. Really strong play on DraftKings. Not really going to play Mixon or anyone else. So it'd just be those two. I think Burrow's a fine option. On the Raiders, you guys know where I'm going. And I was laughed off the show a couple weeks ago. Never got the apology, but I'm back on him. I think he's just a great play. Hunter Renfrow. He's their number one wide receiver, and Carr just looks to him nonstop. Now he's getting red zone targets too. Hunter Renfrow is just like a great play. Waller he had the massive game to start the season, and then just has not been the same. I'm sure it's defensive schemes and all that. I'm not smart enough to figure all that crap out, but just definitely prefer all the other tight ends over him, like Kelsey, Kittle over him. But I love Hunter Renfrow.
You love
6.1K on FanDuel. He's better. His game fits DK better, but he's only 6.1 on FanDuel. That's a great price tag.
Okay.
I just these are the plays we always used to argue on, and he just has no ceiling to me, like whatsoever.
Dude, I mean,
he
if they're
hasn't
playing
cracked
from
20 all season. Like, I just don't see a ceiling.
But
he's a classic white dude that's going to get 15 fantasy points.
you hate white wide receivers. Just say it.
Because they don't have a ceiling.
Just say it. Just say it.
I do. I hate white receivers.
I think he's
So
a great
racist.
player. I mean, he's like their number one target in the red zone.
Yeah, but he
now,
doesn't
too.
have a ceiling. Does he ever get you 30?
He doesn't need 30 at the price. If he gets you, I mean, come on, Crane. You're going to pull the 37X on me now out of nowhere?
If he gets
Is that your-
17, you're not winning a tournament outside of a 100-man tournament.
Well, the price is now coming up a little bit, okay? So it's a little bit different. In the past, he was like 4.5K.
Yeah, if he's 4K and he gets you 18,
No.
then yeah.
But
I mean, he's 6K on both sides.
18, like the last 2 games.
And that's with a
price on-
touchdown, though. Like, that's
The
my
price-
point. That's
the
his
price-
ceiling.
The price on FanDuel is only 6.1K. So if he has these games on FanDuel,
He's
you
not
take
going
it.
to be in the winner. I'll just
Well,
I'll put my
okay.
guarantee.
Oh, boy, that's such a bold statement. I mean,
He's never
that's
going to be
just-
on the winner,
Yeah,
though. He's
way to
never,
take a stand on Hunter
ever
Renfrow.
going to
He's
be
not
on the
gonna be in
winner.
winner.
Ever.
No shit. He's not going to be in the winner.
Well, then why am I playing him if he's not going to be on the winner?
He could. I'm not saying like
he's
the
not
odds of
gonna-
him
he's
doing it
never
are
gonna
super
be.
low. The odds of him being the odds of
Yeah.
any guy being in the winner is super low. These fringe guys, he's a fringe dude.
Well,
but six
The
5'8"
5'8" white dude has lower odds than a lot of other people. I'll say that.
This is the first week where he's 5.8K, and I pointed out the FanDuel price tag where he's only 6.1K.
All right, Rappaport.
You just hate white wide receivers.
I hate
Lamar's
dudes
gonna-
that haven't scored 20 all season. I do hate that.
You know. And
Uh,
every time you talk shit about this guy, he exceeds
I mean, he hit his ceiling
expectations.
back-to-back weeks and got 18. Congratulations.
That's not
to
his
him.
ceiling, though. That's not his
It's
ceiling.
not.
No.
Where's the ceiling at then?
The ceiling, he could get. I really think he'd get like 30. He could have one of these games where
How?
he gets
3
15
touchdowns?
targets. He gets 15 targets and scores a touchdown. 10
He's
receptions.
going to get 30 with one touchdown?
10 receptions. 10 receptions.
He's going to get 30 with one touchdown.
Yeah, like upper 20s. 10 receptions, 100 and some yards, and he's going to get 28. Okay. 10. He's
With
gonna
one
go for
touchdown.
10, 110, and a touchdown. 27. That's the stat line for Renfro today. Let me guess. You got the under.
On 30? On what? I got under on
27.
anything you want to give
On
me for
27.
Renfro. Yeah,
27.
any number. I want under on 18, 17,
Oh.
19, 20, 28. All unders on Renfro.
Gosh. Just you better play him now. Last
I
time you talked
guarantee
shit,
Mangone peels to guys like Renfro.
last time you talked shit about him, he
got
exceeded
17.
expectations. Huh?
Last time I talked
He
shit,
was
he
like
got
4
17.
point, he was like 4K.
All right, Tim Boyle looks like he is going to start today. Lamar's gonna give it a go here in warm-ups. We don't have any final word there. Inactives are due out very soon, so hopefully we'll know that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back. He is going to play, but we just don't know how much. So there's a lot of question marks. For those of you that are subscribers, make sure you hang out for our next show. JSU takes you up to lock. I'll be there. JJ from the bet side is going to drop by. But we'll react to all the inactives, and we'll tell you exactly who you need to pivot to or
Oh,
off
thank
of.
you. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Sorry, real quick. That would be 30, by the way, because I forgot about the 100-yard bonus. Someone in the chat pointed that out for me. Oh,
I
look
mean,
at
you
the
can think of
disgust.
something crazy for me to do. If he gets 30, I'll make a DC bet. If he gets 30 with one touchdown, think of something funny for me to do on the show next week. I'll give you a because there's no chance in this freaking planet he gets 30 with that with one touchdown.
Holden, you're creative. You're creative.
A
bet? I still have to agree
if
to it.
if
He's got to
Renfro
make
gets
it
30,
something
what
funny.
does Big T have to do?
You know what? You know what I always thought was fun that I wanted to see? You know how people take makeup and they like put an eye up here and eye up here, and then they use their belly button for like
We're
a
not doing
nose,
stuff like that.
and then
There we
you have
go.
to put a smiley face. I think you have to have one of your kids paint your tummy like a person. Okay.
I'm not putting a
face.
painted tummy on the freaking show.
I think
yeah.
Chat, do you want to see Big T with a painted tummy? Because I do.
How about here's a good one. So Big T obviously hates costumes and dressing up. Me and Holden get to pick a costume on Amazon.
Yeah, I'll put the Luigi back on for you guys.
No, we get to pick the
No,
costume.
better than that.
Yeah, we get to
Okay.
pick the costume. We'll send you a costume, and you just have to wear it.
Yeah.
So
Deal?
the They're
he gets
saying hot
30 with
chip
one
season.
touchdown, then yes.
Yeah, they're saying
Okay.
make Big T eat the chip, make him get
That's
a
not
title.
That's not good. No costume. He hates costumes. He hates all that stuff. Like we get to pick a costume and he has to wear it.
I think it's great. Yeah, we don't need to do the whole chip thing. I mean,
If I ever did the chip, it would be like on a weeknight. It's
Yeah, you
definitely not
can't
going to
do it.
happen on a Sunday.
NFL Sunday.
That would be
definitely not happening on
so
a Sunday.
bad. That would
You're gonna have
be
to catch
so
me on
bad.
like a Friday night when we're drinking or something. Not on a Sunday morning.
They want you in the astronaut helmet. I just don't think it's good.
We can
guys.
do better. We can do better. We'll
Yeah, we
find a
can do better than
costume. We'll
that.
send him a costume, and he's got to wear it.
What about like a prostitute? Would you dress like a prostitute for us?
Why
He's
do
not
you want
gonna-
my skin? Like, what do you want to see my skin for?
Well,
think
maybe I got something going
a
on
costume-
here, Big T.
A
Maybe I
costume
do,
of our
maybe I don't.
choosing. A costume of our choosing.
All right, we got 1,000 watching. We got 530 likes. Hit the likes. We got the.
Lamar is not doing well enough to play. It looks
No.
like so.
He's not.
See if you can
bueno
bet
for
more.
Lamar.
Let's see.
No, Josiah Anderson.
Is it gone?
Too much pooping.
Yeah, it's
Too much
gone now.
pooping. Went through some warm ups. Looks okay.
Hopefully, everyone bet it.
Well, we'll see because now he's going through warm ups. He looks like we don't know shit. So we'll see. We'll see. I want to get Josiah.
I haven't thought he's going to play the whole time, but yeah, I mean, we need official news for sure. But
Yeah.
by the time the official news hits, it's too late though. that's
it. Yeah, it's
that's
all
why
right.
you got to
It's
make moves.
It's down to 3 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That.
Yeah, there it is. Breaking news. Tyler Huntley will start.
All right. There you go. He's starting. That's the what the Action Network had that. So again, I'm still gonna
I
wait.
just seen like 4 straight things to end it. So
All
I
right,
don't know.
there you go. Let's react to this then, guys. Let's go back to this real quick because we're lucky enough to get this on the show. Let's just recap for those of you that are just joining us. How are we handling this Ravens Chicago game now? Big T on the Baltimore side.
Yeah, I mean, I just Baltimore. Yeah, you're definitely not playing Baltimore. At least I'm not playing Baltimore pieces now. And Bears D Montgomery goes way up the charts for me.
Montgomery,
Bears D
free.
especially.
I mean-
Even without Montgomery, Bears D becomes the best play on the board to me.
Oh, they just took it off the board.
of course
They're going to go off favored too. I'm glad we talked about this on the show
Yeah.
because we talked it up. Hopefully, some people bet it.
Yeah.
They're going to go off
Regardless,
favored. They
you're
have
getting
to.
a free. Yeah, you're getting a free 5 points at minimum. So I mean, if you bet it during the show, I mean,
I bet the money line during the show is plus 170. So
Yeah,
it's
I
not
did
going
the
to be
same.
plus 170 anymore.
No, that's it. And the Bears are 2,500 on.
Yeah, I mean the Bears
DraftKings.
D and Hoop said they're 3,500 on FanDuel, which I like even more than the DK price.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
really
the Bears
like
D is an
Bateman.
incredible play. The Bears D will be my number 1 ranked defense for sure this week. Tyler Huntley is awful,
Tyler Huntley is awful.
and he's going to take sacks. Like he loves to take sacks. He'll probably throw a pick 6.
What's the pivot to Bateman then? Who is the pivot at that price range? I think he's what 4.5 on DraftKings.
Anyone but Bateman? Anyone that's not named Bateman?
You definitely can't play Bateman. I don't think.
No,
Yeah.
right?
In that range, man, there's not. I mean,
That's
there's
a
really
bad
nothing.
range because Bateman was just sitting there.
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
nothing around him really.
Go all the
that
way down to
appealing.
Gallup if you don't have Gallup in there, but
Not all
Landon
the way. I mean,
Jarvis.
they're basically the same price.
is he 300
Yeah.
more?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jarvis Landry, maybe. I don't hate him.
Landry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's
really
just-
the only thing there is Gallup. If you're
I think so. I think Gallup is the only one where you're.
Gallup is
messing
like
around
such
with.
a good play, though. I think Gallup
is.
is a very. I mean, I'm not breaking ground with that news. Like he's way too cheap with Cooper out, but I think he's a very good play.
I like Ced Wilson too. I kind of think Ced Wilson might have something. We haven't even gotten to that game yet, so give us just a second. We'll get to that game. Okay, so we got Lamar too much pooping.
He's Schefter
officially
just tweeted
inactive.
officially. Yeah.
Officially
you can
out.
you can still get the Bears +3 in some spots. I mean, I think that's still a good bet.
Yeah. So Huntley's getting the start there. He hasn't started since what was it, New Year's in 2019 when he was with Utah. So it's been a little while. But seriously, is anybody he needs to go? I think he has IBS. That's it. He's
He
IBS.
definitely has been sick more than anyone I've
Yeah.
ever seen.
His tummy's hurting him, man. Miles Sanders is active. Kenny Gainwell is inactive. Miles Sanders is active though. So you got him, Scott, and Howard. Those are the three guys that are going there. Like
These
I
are
said,
the good info you give on the premium. Make them sign up for premium to get all your good info.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So we got so much coming out of the inactives, and we're going to react to it a little bit here. But if you're not on the premium show, then you're really not getting everything, every single angle. And JSU, there's nobody better in this business that does that on the fly like that. So JSU, myself, and we'll have JJ from the bet side stopping by. RPS Heater 25% off your first payment of a monthly installment. First payment of a monthly installment. Tremaine Edmonds is out, the Bills linebacker. That's fine. I think we can deal with that. Lamar is out. That is the big one. So just know that. And let's get to these last two games, boys.
People are saying DK is already offering 25% profit on the +4 bet. So you can take your money and run if you wanted.
Yeah,
but
that's
I
because
still
they
like
know
it.
they're going to lose.
Yeah.
That's
No way that 3's still posted, is it?
2.5 on DK. Like, I mean, 3's not posted, but now it's 2.5. I still like it.
25%. I've never even heard of 25% profit cash out. Seriously.
Well, I think the cash out option is 25% above or something.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that before. I
don't know if that's
It's
true.
just when the line moves. It's just like when
Yeah.
you got, if you bet
Oh,
it
because
20,
it says
yeah.
cash out. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the
It's not
cash
like
out.
a promotion. It's just what
Yeah.
the current line is.
You're right. Yep, that's what it is. All right, guys, let's hop back on the horse here. Arizona, Seattle. We got two more games than Dallas and Kansas City. Hoop, Arizona, Seattle. DK Metcalf, maybe in the circle of trust here. I can't listen. I'm not saying he's not playing, but Kyler Murray again, right? It just
he's not going to play.
He's not playing, man.
Yeah.
So what? How do you attack this game? DK Metcalf, maybe, and that's it. Is there anybody else?
I think the one thing is, like, Seattle looked super rough last week against the Packers. It was bad, and it was the first game with Russell Wilson back. I do think this offense looks a little bit better today. I like Seattle in the spot to win the game. What are they? They're favored by 2.5, 3. I do like that as a bet. I think they have to look better. I don't think Russell Wilson is great by any means, but their offense will do better here. If they're going up against Colt McCoy, like, I just think they're just much better than a Colt McCoy led team on the Cardinals side. So I like, from a bet perspective, Seattle. DK Metcalf, I like in tournaments. I think he has a chance to, like, go off here. James Conner on the Cardinal side, they're going to want to ride him. If they get a lead, he'll get a shit ton of carries. He was active in the passing game last week. Very popular last week. He was disappointing and then kind of popped that touchdown at the end. The encouraging thing was they were down like 3 touchdowns and he's still in the game. So that's good for fantasy purposes. I think he's a fine play. On the Seattle side, Metcalf I like. And then Tyler Lockett's only like $6K on DK. He will definitely be in my player pool today. Just a cheap price tag. So like the Seattle side a little bit here, and then just James Conner on the Cardinal side.
Let's go back to the Bears real quick. They got their own issues, man. Wow. There's so many injuries on that side too. Eddie Jackson's out now. Robinson's out. We know Hakeem Hicks is out. Mack is out. That's just ugly, man. I'm glad I single game parlayed that with the total under too, because that's just gross. Donovan Peoples-Jones is out for the Browns. So all the inactives are coming out, and we will absolutely respond to them or react to that on the premium show. Hoop, let's just hammer this one out
the
here.
The only other news that matters for
Tony?
sure besides Lamar is Taysom's active. That's actually kind of important for Ingram.
Why?
Because he could get vultured even more.
Oh.
Ingram would have been a way better play to me if Taysom was out.
Yeah.
So are you off of Ingram altogether?
Yeah, I'm not playing Ingram. Yeah.
Ooh, get him out of the lineup.
Did we even talk about that game? When is that game?
Yeah, we talked about it. I didn't like Ingram that much.
No.
With Taysom up in the air now with Taysom, I think he's a great.
Holden must have skipped me on that game. No way I talked about that game.
I don't think I skipped you, but please, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I didn't say anything about it. That's how I know I had to get skipped. Did I say something about it, Hoop?
I don't think so. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
thank you. Well, I got skipped.
It's probably when you were talking about eating the chip and paining your belly.
I mean, I didn't like anyone in that game.
Okay, good.
He makes a big mistake and says, I don't like it.
No, I did talk.
Holden.
I take my
Poor
L because I
Holden.
talked about Troutman.
I know
I
he
do
did.
take my L,
That's right.
Holden.
Yeah.
I apologize, Holden.
Damn straight you apologize. All right. You know, I was going to go to you first for Dallas KC, but now it's Hoop's turn. Hoop, let's go. Dallas, Kansas City. Just take your nuts out, put them on the ground, and let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most popular game of the day, like by far. Like everyone's coming to this game. 56 total. The Chiefs offense finally looked good last week. Dallas rolled as well. I mean, two offenses that looked explosive last week. Big total, close spread, two defenses that are, iffy at best. The thing that you have to be cautious of if you come to this game is the popularity of it because, Mahomes will be popular. Dak, I think, a little less. The running back situation with KC is obviously one to avoid now. Edwards-Helaire back. Darrell Williams was crushing, but, man, it's hard to trust him here. Zeke is just so game script dependent now. They need to be playing in a neutral score game or with the lead, or he's going to be ineffective. Don't love him in this spot. Amari Cooper ruled out. Big bump for obviously CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. I don't hate Cedric Wilson at 3.2K. Dalton Schultz is a good play. Chiefs pass catchers, Tyreek. Like I said, he's my top wide receiver this week. That's not anything crazy. Love how they're using him nowadays. A guy, though, that I have a lot of interest in that I don't think will get a ton of ownership, Byron Pringle. Looked like he passed Hardman in their last game. He was out there more than Hardman and could be the second wide receiver for the Chiefs. Now, he's not really the second wide receiver, the second pass catcher, because you have Travis Kelce in there as well. But I really like Pringle at 3.4K. Thought he'd be a little more popular this week. I thought more people would be on him, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Tony can correct me on that if he wants, but I don't think Pringle is going to have a ton of ownership. Really like him. Kelce, great play. I mean, it's a game that is obviously good. It's hard to knock any of these plays, but just when you're building your teams, be careful because a lot of ownership is going to be in the spot here.
All right, Tony, let's hear it, man. Who are you basically leaving out of this game is the real question.
I'm not playing the running backs. I mean, even Zeke, I'm not playing him. I just like running back too much, and I'm just going to take a stand and play the passing games. Zeke could vulture. I get why people are playing him, but he's not even cheap either on top of it. I mean, he's pretty expensive. So I'm not going there. I'm just going the passing games. And honestly, the Chiefs, I'm just playing Tyreek and Kelce, Mahomes, the three big guys. And then the Dallas side, I'm just playing the good guys too. CD Gallup and Dalton Schultz at tight end. I'm not going to play any of the punts in this game on any of my teams, even my Dak and Mahomes teams. There's just value in other spots I like, and I don't trust the value on these teams as much.
I'm just trying to figure out now with this whole Montgomery thing you brought up. There's Foreman, there's Wilson, there's Montgomery.
Yeah. That's why McCaffrey's going to be low because all these, I mean, there's so many good running backs in that cheap range.
Yeah.
I'm not saying McCaffrey's going to be 3%, but he could be 20%. And for McCaffrey, that is very low when he can get 40.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing, I always like to use the term lower owned than he should be. You look at McCaffrey and his ceiling, and like his ownership should probably be like 40% or whatever, upper 30s. He's only going to be probably like half of that because there's so many good guys at the running back position, so many value plays that we can go to, so many like locks. Like people are just going to lock A.J. Dillon and Jeff Wilson. It will just naturally lower the ownership on everyone else. So, I mean, he's going to come in lower than – he should be lower than you think he is. Like people are going to look at Christian McCaffrey after what he did last week and just assume that he's very popular. I don't think that's the case this week.
Yeah, and honestly, guys, I came in here. They're like everybody's on Chubb. I just love Chubb this week. I got him 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. So I hope you're right. I hope not a lot of people's on Chubb.
I mean, he's for sure not going to be on. There's no way he's on.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Give it to me. All right, boys, let's wrap it up here. Again, like button on your way out. We're about 550. Be nice to get us to 6. We'll see. Probably doesn't happen, but that's fine. Premium show's coming up next. Let's get to the plays of the day. Tony, it's the workbench play of the day.
Yeah, you guys shit on my boy, and maybe a little nervous, but I've had conviction all week, so I'm going to stick with him. Deontay, or what do we call him? Devontae Freeman. Deontay Foreman with the revenge factor today against Houston, 4,900. Going to be the lowest owned of all of these cheaper guys. He should be under 10% easy. And yeah, I love him today. I think they run all over Houston. I think he gets 3 touchdowns.
Woo, 3 touchdowns. Wow. Hoop, the rich parents play of the day.
I will say before I get into that, like the Bears are still hovering at like +2. I'm shocked that they haven't shifted to being a favorite.
I think it's all their injuries, dude. I think
it's possible, but I love the Bears today to just win the game. Rich parents play the day. I'm going to the Chiefs and a guy, like I said, when we talked about it, that I thought would be higher owned this week and not really showing up that way. Byron Pringle, 3.4K. You know, a lot of people are going to be playing Gallup on the other side at 4.2. He makes a lot of sense. Gallup's a phenomenal play. Like Pringle at 3.4K, he's going to be out there a ton. Kind of, you know, becoming more trusted by Patrick Mahomes. So give me Pringle, 3.4K. Rich parents play of the day.
Man, that's been my favorite guy, and I've been waiting. When can we actually talk about Pringle? Well, this is the week, and now people might actually be on him.
No one's playing Pringle.
Good. That's great too.
Play.
Love it. You know where I'm going? I'm going Chubb, dude. 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, I think, is in the books for this guy today. I can't get away from Nick Chubb. He's just sitting out there right now, and I get it with all the value elsewhere, but that'll be my guy today. Probably about, what is that, 60% Chubb? Yep, 60%. 6 lineups, 4, so 66% Chubb. Okay, RPS Heater 25% off first payment of the monthly installment. I'm coming up next with JSU. JJ from the bet side will stop by, and then we're really going to dig into these inactives, go a whole bunch of different directions, and we take a ton of your questions. Like all the people in the chat, in the live show chat, the premium chat, we answer the questions, we get you going. Tony, I don't remember what the bet was, but I hope you have to do something embarrassing next week. Hoop, wonderful to see you too. Thanks again for updating us on the carpet story. Simon behind the scenes. I'm Holden. Simon, get us out of here, please.